Superhero Stuff You Should Know is part of the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Ben from Superhero Stuff You Should Know, and I have an important announcement for you guys. At the end of every single episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you might hear us shout out to our fans, one of whom is Matt Herring, who was one of the original Superhouse fans. He's always given us his support, and now it's time that we support him. We've just recently found out that Matt has been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And as a cancer survivor myself, I know personally that there's a lot of emotional and financial strain that comes into that. His wife, Kelly, has set up a GoFundMe account at gofundme.com/f/Matthew-kicks-cancer039s-butt. And hopefully you can help reduce the financial strain to that, as well as some of the emotional strain that comes with that. Again, that's gofundme.com/f/Matthew-kicks-cancer039s-butt.
Matt Herring was the first, I guess you could say, true Superhouse fan. We were Superhouse at that time. You know, the first fan of this podcast and what we do here, and has always supported us, talked about us, and he's from a town close to where I'm from, and so we share that as well, and just a huge superhero fan, and you know, nerd like the rest of us, and now he's going through that. And if you could donate just at least any amount of money to that link that Ben just said, that would be truly appreciated. Just hang in there, Matt. You'll beat this thing soon.
Well, look who it is. Old Two-Face and Pooh-Face.
The name is Clayface.
What do you want, Joker?
Oh, deepest apologies, Matthew. I always make that mistake. Well, I'm glad to see a few fellow rogues sitting around in here. I just wanted to run this idea by you. You know, I've noticed a lot of other Gotham criminals getting these interesting tattoos on their bodies. What do you fellow rogues think of your old Uncle Joker getting some ink?
Half of me thinks it's gonna look cool. The other half of me thinks it's gonna look stupid.
I think it's a wonderful idea. Go ahead and get as many as you want.
Well, that sounds fair. There's never any pleasing Harvey. You're two sides about everything. Well, now I just have to figure out what tattoo am I going to get. I could get one of those cute little Hello Kitty tattoos, or maybe the 90s alien head, or perhaps a barbed wire around my bicep. What do you think? Maybe something a little more personal?
As an actor who's someone that's interested in the art of storytelling, you should get tattoos that tell your story, Joker.
So you think I should get my name in some sort of fancy script across my belly?
The coin decided yes.
Interesting. All right, so we've got that one down. Let me think of some more tattoos. Maybe just, I do laugh a lot. What about ha? I can just put ha over and over again in different places on my body.
Getting a little bit weird, but sure, why not? You are a crazy guy after all.
The coin also says, go ahead.
Ooh, this conversation is going good. You know, I'm gonna stop calling you Pooh-Face as long as you're agreeing with me. Well, I do have Harley Quinn as kind of my side bitch. What do you think about a skull with a Chester hat on? That seems pretty boss, doesn't it?
Pretty boss indeed. I love it.
I don't know, Joker. I don't need to flip the coin to think this is getting a little overkill.
Well, Harvey, you could indeed get the number 2 tattooed on your body, or perhaps a Roman numeral 2. What about the word Gemini? You know, something like that for you?
Look at my face. I don't need a tattoo. It's already evident.
His face tells a story.
Oh, that's very true. Look, I had this other idea for a tattoo. What if I got my mouth tattooed on the back of my own hand? Yeah, sounds pretty neat.
Getting a little creepy, but I think, again, a wonderful idea.
You know, Batman's always punching out my teeth every cartoon episode. You know, eventually it might be a good idea to hold my hand up over my mouth when I'm laughing so you see the other mouth there. That's how it works. It's a gag.
I mean, it's already evident from your face. You want to extend it to your hand, too?
Yeah, why not? I just want to, I love myself. I'm just going to put things about me all over my own body.
Subtlety was never your strong suit.
Damn right it's not.
That I can agree.
You're one of the great showmen, Joker. I respect you for that.
I'm going from classy to trashy, bitch. I'm going to get inked up. This is Gotham Inc., and I'm going to have my own reality TV show.
Like one of those SoundCloud rappers.
There you go. I already got a gum wrapper to wrap around my teeth to have a little fake tinfoil grill. Look, all right. One more idea I've got to run by you now. This one, I think it's the best idea of all. I see myself as a broken man, a sad crying clown. What if I got the word damaged in fancy cursive script tattooed on the top of my forehead, right under my hairline? That sounds pretty neato, right?
I think it's the stupidest idea ever. But the coin just landed on the scarred side, so I'm just gonna say, you go ahead.
So you were against it, but the coin said no to you being against it, so that means you're for it?
It says that I should cave in and let evil win. If evil means he needs damaged on his forehead, then he should go for it.
I know I said you had no subtlety, but don't you bethink that this is going a little too far?
I'm gonna do it anyways. All right, I've got to get out of here. I've got to video shoot with Skrillex and Rick Ross. So they're gonna hop in my purple Lamborghini and we're going to go riding on a speedboat.
Wait, before you go, let me change into a version of you that you're talking about. This is what you will look like.
Jesus Christ, what was I thinking? Well, never mind, off to the video shoot.
And welcome back, everyone, to not to superhero stuff you should know, but to supervillain stuff you should know.
It continues.
It is I, the man who knows too much about Batman villains this time. And with me, as usual,
and it's me, everybody, Andrew. What's going on? And this has taken way too long, but after passing rigorous trials, and hopefully this doesn't blow up in my face, but let's make Zack a fucking host all of a sudden.
Let's just do it.
No longer a guest host.
Oh, shit.
You passed the trials. A rigorous... I didn't tell Ben about this either, but you just found the right guy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck, but
Well,
yeah.
Zack found us.
You're going to get the smallest cut of our pay, but still, welcome aboard officially.
I just wanted...
So let's see your little Chiron change at the bottom.
Oh, shit.
From guest host to real host.
It should happen right now.
Congratulations.
You look down.
And so...
Yeah.
So our new host and our favorite Joker voice.
It was getting ridiculous.
I had a whole thing set up, and now you've thrown me off the wheel here.
I'm sorry,
I
man.
had the whole little stupid
Sorry.
Joker thing I was gonna do. We're talking about.
Well, go ahead, 'cause I don't think Rob's
it's
heard
me,
your
Zach.
Joker.
So I'll do a little Joker for you. Well, shit, Gotham. It looks like your favorite old Uncle Joker is now a official part of the cast.
Amazing. All right, and as you can see, we have a special guest with us, and that is Rob Ayling. Rob, introduce yourself for us.
Well, good evening from the UK. My name is Rob Ayling. I'm a writer and director based in the UK, and yeah, that is an impressive Joker, I have to say. That was spot on, like superb, man, really superb.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Rob is joining us to discuss his Batman film, Living in Crime Alley. So, if you have not checked that out, then that link will be in the description below for you to watch that, and then come back to join us as we will not only talk to him about the film, but he'll also be joining us in the discussion on supervillains.
Yeah, so spoiler conversation for an 8-minute movie. So pause this right now.
So you have no excuse not to watch it.
Watch 8 minutes of it, and then come back to this.
So last week we talked about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. This week it's about Jared Leto's Joker, who appeared in Suicide Squad, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and most importantly, the Skrillex and Rick Ross music video for Purple Lamborghini.
He's riding on a boat, doing nothing.
He's in more of that music video than he is in Suicide Squad.
But he's doing less than those movies, though. He's just like on the boat, like that's it, like just standing on it. It's so dumb.
Apparently, it was written for his point of view, which I don't understand at all. The song was written for the Joker's point of view.
In terms
no
of
one does,
the lyrics?
Zach. No one understands it.
Well, I guess it makes sense because he's the one with the purple Lamborghini. So
I guess so. It
makes sense.
I guess, but
oh well,
it was bad.
All right. Well, anyway, let's not talk about Leto right now. Let's talk about Rob.
It's one of the worst Joker things ever.
We'll get there, Andrew.
We'll get to it. Okay. So Rob and I met over the app Clubhouse, which for those who don't know is basically like a 24/7 convention on any topic, any given time. And at any given time there's a panel where you can jump and join in on. Except it's all done through an app and it's all done through audio. And I think we were both in a room where we were just sort of, you can follow anybody. And I saw Rob had done a Batman fan film, and I was like, immediate follow. And then like one day we were both in a room at the Everything Entertainment Club, which I've talked about on this podcast before, and it was about who was the best Joker. So it's very fitting to have you on discussing the Jared Leto Joker in this episode. So we all watched Living in Crime Alley, as I destroy my headphone set. We all watched Living in Crime Alley, and we definitely wanted to spend some time talking about it, as well as your own Batman fandom. Obviously, you can see from the YouTube video that Rob is as much of a fan as us with the Batman hat and the shirt, and I see some art in the background as well. So that looks like original Kane Finger Robinson art.
It is indeed, yes. It's also signed by Bob Kane as well.
Wow.
They're very precious pieces. Yeah, very precious pieces. There is one
amazing.
signature, of course, missing, of course, which who knows. But no, let's not go down that route. But there is one signature missing. But look, the guy's part of the story and the mythos and everything. Right. So he's not forgotten.
Sure. Yeah, for sure, yes.
Exactly. So I guess first off, share with us what got you into Batman.
So what got me into Batman was essentially from a young age. I adored the animated television series. I think for most kids in the 90s, born in the 90s, or at least grew up in the 90s, they were first exposed to Batman in that way, and as was I. And it was both that, but also a Batman comic that I had found, not necessarily found, I discovered it in a comic book stand in East London, which is where I grew up. And it was the comic Fatal Wish, which is a story in itself told in Crime Alley in Gotham. And it's a Gothamite story, but it's also a retelling of the origin of Batman, but in a very unique way, in a very different perspective of why they go to that cinema that night to go and see that film. And it's a very interesting story about choices and the choices that we make. And to go an even deeper level of, where my fandom kind of really started, for me, I lost my father at a very young age, and to have a character like Batman to be there at that time, to kind of almost be that kind of surrogate father figure, to kind of be the new kind of father figure in my life, to understand that actually this is an individual that's taken grief and had grief in his life and actually used it to better himself, to be a better person and actually become a better human being and actually help others in regards to that. I think it's just something incredibly inspiring. And for me at that age, to lose my father at that time was tough, but then to find this character and think, wow, he can actually make himself better without a particular, in his case, two family members. But for me, losing that one figure was a fragile thing for me at a time. So to have that character come into my life in that way was a very life-saving thing for me. So I have a very special bond with Bruce Wayne Batman, and as you guys probably noticed with Living in Crime Alley, there's a lot to that film which is a reflection of my own life, but also a reflection of my own fandom as well. So he's a special character to me.
That is awesome.
That's awesome, man.
I think a lot of times you hear the same old reasons in terms of Batman, where just like, oh, he's like more relatable because he doesn't have powers. I'm just like, well, if that's the case, then why is Green Arrow not more popular? Why was Iron Man? It took Robert Downey Jr. to make that popular. To me, I think the actual secret to Batman isn't the fact that he doesn't have powers. I think that's only part of it. But I think the actual secret is exactly what Rob's been saying: is the idea that you take your pain and you turn it into something basically positive. You take that around and you make things better, as opposed to his villains who take their pain and use it as an excuse for their own sort of evil or whatever plans or selfishness that they do. So I always felt that.
Rebirth from tragedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Being a main theme, yeah. I mean, like I've said in other episodes that we've done, I love... I mean, it's a tragedy that you had, but I mean, it's interesting. It's always interesting to see what many people would view as just silly comic books, but then you see people just be very moved, by these mythological, characters. It changes people's lives, So it's something very important here in these stories.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So Andrew, you had the next question.
Okay. Sorry, let me read it here. Okay. What led to making Living in Crime Alley?
Oh, I'll try not to be too long about this one. So as I've mentioned before, my fandom for Batman grows back to when I was 5. A kid who just lost his father, but then discovered this character, discovered cinema, and Living in Crime Alley is both my love for the character in that world, but it's also a reflection of my own experience of dealing with financial struggle. So back in 2017, I had lost my job. I had landed a really good job, which I thought was a really good job, and then it was taken away, made redundant, essentially. And that really sucked. I felt really bad and felt creatively low, and also was in a really terrible financial position at the time because I just moved. I had, pretty much relocated everything about, my life at that time, and I thought I was going in the right direction, everything. And here I thought, I got this job, I'm going to go in the right direction. And then literally it was halted. It was, taken away from me. And it was so unfair. And then I thought to myself, how can I just get myself back in the game? How can I keep moving forward creatively? And as you can see around me, I'm surrounded by my fandom, so...
You're not alone on that.
And I just thought, why don't I just start just writing anything? And there's the expression, write what you know. So in that case, I have been financially poor for quite some time. So I decided to write a story about... a single parent trying to bring up their child in a deprived area in a specific place. And then one day I was just writing down some ideas and, thinking, okay, this, and this. And then I looked up and I just saw, well, you can't see it here because we're, but there's a picture of Batman just up here with multiple Batmen, I should say. And I just thought, well, what would happen if we brought Bruce Wayne Batman into a situation where he doesn't fully understand the circumstances of being in a financially deprived area? How does he not understand, that Gothamite's perspective? Because here's a character who's been brought up on royalty, he's not had to struggle financially, and he hasn't fully grown with he's obviously had Alfred, but he's not had his parents, he's not had that, he's travelled elsewhere, he's always had to provide by himself in some way. But then how do you bring hope to a child? And he's not been that parent as of yet, and especially not in the story that we're trying to tell. And that opened up loads of questions, and that opened up the possibility, and I just thought to myself, we haven't seen this really, this kind of perspective in film form. We probably have a lot of the time in comic book form, but for me, I've not seen that in film form. So I just started writing, and then it became quite a long piece, so I then decided to strip it down. And then eventually, I got it down to about a 5-page script, and then I just sent it off, and it did a couple of fan fiction festivals, screenwriting festivals, and it got good buzz and everything. And then someone said to me, "Oh, when are you going to make the film?" And I was like, "Oh God, I've got to make this." And then I'll be honest with you guys. I said to myself I wasn't going to make it. I said I'm not going to make this because it's too much of a big financial step. Because when you make a film, you know, it's a big financial leap of faith, fundamentally. Mm-hmm. But then you add Batman in front of the film, so you're making a Batman film. Then it becomes an even more higher financial level of, you know, stakes there. And I'll be honest, I just was completely afraid of the notion of making that kind of film. Back in 2018, this was, and I was afraid to fail again. You know, I'd just been, you know, brutally, you know, let go from a position where I thought I'd worked hard enough to get to that point. I didn't want to fall and crash down again. But then I had several people say to me certain things like, "This is a great script. What the hell are you doing not making this?" You know, like, and I have to, I won't mention his name, but like, he'll know who it is anyway. But he once said to me, and I'll never forget this, he said, "You're a filmmaker that doesn't make films." And that really struck a nerve. And I was like, you're absolutely right. So then back in 2018, the end of 2018, I then decided, you know what, I'm going to, rather than, you know, I don't want to say shoulda, woulda, coulda. I want to say I have at least tried and given it my best shot. And in the beginning of 2019, I then decided, you know what, I'm going to risk it all and actually make the best film that I can with the best script that I have right now. And, you know, a day and a half of making the film in September of 2019, a year's worth of planning, you know, pre-production and everything, getting it all together and filming it in a day and a half and editing it before, you know, the end of December 2019. And here we are now. And it's easily one of the best decisions I've ever made because, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but like the character has saved me as a young child. He saved me again when I was, you know, 28, 29. And, you know, it's the best decision I've ever made because it's the best, you know, piece of work that I've done so far for me.
It's great, man. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like people, especially the political situation in America right now with how people view the police and stuff like that. And that is kind of transferred onto how people view Batman. So people look at him negatively at times, depending on who the person is, but then to see this, it's kind of relevant to all that, and it, you know, Batman cries at the end, and you see just how hard his job is on him, and that was really moving. I mean, it was just tastefully done, you know?
Yeah. And that gamble definitely paid off because if you guys look at the description for the fan film, there's a whole list of awards that the film has had that we would just be here all day if I listed all of them. I was planning to, and then I was just like looking at the list, and I'm just like, you know what, it's better if they just go see. They're going to go to the link anyway, so they might as well read it there. Let's see, Zach, you had a question.
I also wanted to say I very much enjoyed the ending. I don't know if you gained specific inspiration from... it was Paul Dini and Alex Ross's collaboration. Is that War, Ben? Is that Batman War? Yeah.
War on Crime.
Oh,
War
yeah.
I remember the little boy
Yeah.
holding the gun on Batman, and like it kind of took his breath away, like it shocked him because that's like, you know, that's the reverse of a position that he was in when he was a child, and then they embrace at the end. And I thought that was really cool. The ending really made me think of that. My question was, how did you create the cityscape and the bat signal for the film?
Oh, now that's a good question. So I'm glad you pointed out the Alex Ross thing. By the way, I just wanted to quickly mention because the funny thing was I subconsciously didn't even think of that when I was writing. I just thought, I generally was just just writing within the moment because for me as a director, I'm always about writing about truth within the moment. Like it becomes more natural, but it's also about harnessing that. And when you take that to a film set and with the crew and everybody, then you can go and find the exploration there. So all of that, what you're talking about now, the emotion, the scene of, the reverse of everything, it's all based on just pure, truthful, in the moment performance. And then someone said to me afterwards, "Oh, it's like this." And I'm like, "Oh my god, it is!" I didn't even think of that. But no. So I'm not going to take credit for that, of course. But the cityscape and the bat signal, that was all done through visual effects. And I'll be honest with you, it was an absolute nightmare working with green screen.
Oh, I'm sure.
I knew I had some experience of working on green screen before, but there's certain ways of lighting it. You had to have like a big, massive light, like a 2K or a 5K light, kind of shining through to make the green bright enough so that it can be used for the VFX artist to composite and render and everything, all that stuff. And luckily, by pure sheer dumb luck, we had the sun shining down on this window. So, we had this green sheet over the window. So that's how we were able to light it enough to have our backdrop. And I'll tell you one thing. I won't actually give away what the cityscape is, but my VFX and I know what that cityscape that we use is. I mean, some people probably can tell when they watch it, but we took a city... and we composite it over the top, and then it's just simply throwing in some there's some small Easter eggs in there. I'm sure you probably seen here and there. So it was all through painful, well, according to the VFX artist anyway, painful rendering work, and he did a fantastic job, and that's how we created the Gotham cityscape.
It really helps give you the feel of the fact that you're in Gotham, that this is definitely like in that world. And along those lines, I did notice that unlike a lot of other Batman fan films, most famously like the Bat in the Sun ones, they go off of the bat suit from the comics with the gray and black. However, I was surprised that this Batman seems to be evoking the Michael Keaton Batman, which is also why I'm wearing the '89 Batman shirt today, with the little extra points on the bottom. So I had a question about what led to the costume decision. Was that a deliberate choice? Was it down to what you're able to get? Like, what led to it sort of evoking the '90s Batman?
So the costume is an interesting one because fundamentally speaking, if we wanted to create our own suit, we could have done, but then that would have cost an extra $5,000, like just to make one suit of it anyway. So like, I'll be completely honest, because you guys know that the film's like 8 minutes long, and I feel like I'm always cheating the audience when I say this, but it's just fundamentally how I see it. It's a drama which happens to have Batman in it because he's only in it for so long. And that's some people come after me afterwards and say, "You lied to me, Batman's in this, not in this film," and then they watch it and they go, "Oh, he is, and that's why he's in it." It's not like a typical Batman film, and that's the point. It's a different perspective of it. But every time you see him on screen, the budget goes up. So you're literally going, right, so that's a minute, so that's $1,000, that's another minute, that's $2,000, that's another minute, that's $3,000. You can count it basically how much money is on the screen in the minutes. That stretched my wallet. Anyway, but the choices of it, fundamentally, I did make my own design of what the suit could be, and but then. You're looking at budgeting and everything, and you just go, do you know what? If there's stuff out there already that exists, and people and the fans in particular can get a kick out of seeing, the nods to things and everything, then that's going to be great. And while it does hearken basically the Keaton look overall, the faux leather cape, the Keaton cowl, obviously, there are things about it which we reference to other movies. So the Dark Knight trilogy in particular, the actual movability, the flexibility of the entire suit. It's not fully shown, but he does wear military gear in certain areas. So it's a certain militarized costume. The animated TV series is referenced, and the classic kind of 50s and 40s look with the grey and the yellow emblem, of course. But one little Easter egg which is on the suit is actually the emblem itself is a reference to the late great Bright Knight Adam West, and it's just the only thing is it's sharper. The only difference is that the ears are a little sharp, because when I looked at the the emblem, I did think, oh no, those ears are a little bit short. We're gonna have to make it. We will make those. We'll make the ears a little bit longer because it'll look a bit strange if it's completely Adam West. I mean, I'm sure.
Right.
But the shape of the outline of it, it's just a little sharper. But it's my little nod to his legacy as well. And as I said, the film was made in 2019, and 2019 was also 30-year celebration of the 89 movie. Is it 930? Yeah, 30 years. Is that right? Yes, my math is correct, isn't it? Yeah.
I think that's correct, yeah.
Over 30 years,
Yeah.
So, it was the 80th year of the character's existence in 2019, so it almost became a celebration of that, but it also became a celebration of that movie. And I think, many people always go on about... Yeah, no, it was perfect timing, and that's why it's always weird to say, it's such a weird coincidence, like all of this just kind of came together really well. And it almost became just a great celebration of not just me just trying to, celebrate my fandom of that character, but also have something to say as an artist, as a creator, to say that, what does it mean to live in this environment? What does it mean to bring hope to a child? And discover and question the grey area of the law as well. And I said, it's a celebration of what Michael Keaton's Batman and Tim Burton's world did, because I think even to this day, I know a lot of people, of course, in today, people are going mental over Michael Keaton returning as Batman, of course. But, that movie and those two movies, I should say, did do a lot for that character. And I think even to this day, we don't... I mean, we do acknowledge the importance of that film, but I think a lot of people try to find a lot of negativity towards it now because of the things that because we're so overly in... We've got a lot of Batman now. That's the thing. That's the thing. We're getting a lot of Batman to the point where we shouldn't complain, but we still do. That's the thing. But it's a celebration. That's pretty much the best way that I can sum up why the suit is the way it is because it's for practicality reasons, but it's also through celebration of fandom and Easter eggs. And I'll also mention one thing, which was probably the funniest thing, was the actor who played Batman in the film, Danny Chase. He asked me, I don't mind having restraint in my neck and I can't move it or whatever, but can I please go to the toilet in it? I'm like, fine, we'll build a zipper. We will build a zipper into the suit.
Just like what Christian Bale wants.
And the request was done. He got a zipper in the suit.
Good.
Along the lines of the actors, we were extremely curious because we know that you're located in the UK. Is the main actor playing the father English, or is he an American living in England?
He is a British-born Londoner, putting on an American accent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
His American accent sounds better than Andrew's British accent.
I'm not trying when I do it. My shit's always in parody.
Yes.
You're fired again.
Oh, it's nice having you as host for 5
guest.
minutes.
See you later.
Oh, dear.
That is impressive.
Vincent is a very talented man and talented actor and just a fantastic human being all round. And I was very fortunate to have him on board in the film. And I've always said this, and he hates me saying this, but he is the film for me. Like he is very much the heart and soul, as is Bella, of course, as well, which is her first acting role. I should mention, which is just quite extraordinary already, and she's got such a bright future ahead of her. But with Vincent, it was a very great piece of collaboration, this film, because ultimately he's playing a father, the father, but he's also playing my own father, who I didn't get to know. So it's almost kind of very special kind of relationship there, because what I find really interesting about living in Crime Alley, because people always ask me, oh, did I have an interesting relationship with my father and this, that, and the other? And as I explained to you guys at the beginning, I didn't. So for me as a creator, it's interesting to kind of delve into that kind of what if scenario of, would my father be like this person and would they act in this certain way? But then in many other ways, I even question, would my mother act in that way either? Would she go off and rob a liquor store or something? Quite possibly, because she's pretty tough. But all that to one side, there's a lot of questions that get raised and answered within this film. And as I said before, Vincent is very much the heart and soul of the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So definitely all our praise to the cast. And because we were really not sure. We were just like, he seems so American.
Yeah.
In this, we forgot that it is probably shot in the UK during this because it feels like you're there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, one of the unique things about this film in particular is that we didn't shoot in London. The initial idea was to film in London, but then, I don't know, part of me just went, do you know what? Like, it's not like it's easy to film in London, because it's not, because there's like different boroughs. So you've got like different boroughs, so you've got to get permissions for all of that and everything. So, but also London is so photographed, like, and we've seen it in the Dark Knight trilogy throughout. With certain places in central London being used, and I think even now, I know they're filming The Flash in London. I thought it was one of the things that makes the film kind of unique in its own right is that we filmed it entirely in the southwest of England, which is in Bristol. And I said southwest, I meant to just say west, so I don't know why I said that. Anyway, it's in the west of England. So Bristol is a very gothic city in its own right, and I found these, beautiful areas to film in, and my first assistant director in particular found this particular alleyway that we used for Crime Alley, and it just, there was no set decoration needed. You just literally needed to go there and be like, wow, this is I heard one of you guys say it earlier, but swear earlier, so I'll say it. It's a shithole. So I was literally like, yeah, this is perfect for it. I was literally thought, this is perfect location to use for a deprived area of Gotham. So
sorry to people from Bristol listening.
They're like, thanks.
To be honest with you, they'd probably watch it and go, actually, that's probably the most beautiful it's ever looked.
Oh wow! Oh man!
I'm just saying. Just saying.
Oh, man.
They filmed Walking Dead in my hometown. If you want to go to a zombie apocalypse, look no further.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, awesome. If you guys have not checked it out already, what the hell are you doing watching us? Please check it out in the description below and come back, as we are, with this last question, going to transition into the rest of the topic of this
I had
show.
one more, too, actually.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Other films in the future. Are you part of the Are you a full-time filmmaker now as well, or?
So yes, I'm a writer director based in the UK. So
okay.
I do short films, I do documentaries, some commercial stuff here and there, lots of corporate stuff, do music videos, and I'm actually in the middle of right now making I'm in pre-production of my debut feature film.
Oh.
So this is a full rebirth you had via this film.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much. And,
incredible.
Thanks to
awesome. Yeah, I've decided I'm going to make turn an original idea that I've had for the last probably 6 or 7 years, and just finally, get out there and actually make it happen. And if there's anything that we've learned over the last couple of years, in particular with what's going on right now, is that we can't let these things hold us back. We've kind of have this attitude of, like, we don't know what's going to happen next, but we got to keep trying, and we've got to just have this attitude of just go in the right direction, which should always be forward. And for the love of God, just don't be afraid to fail. Because that's the kind of mentality you've really got to have whenever you're making a film or whatever kind of project you're doing, whether that's a film, music, or even like a business venture. It's all about just taking that big leap of faith and don't look back. So that's the next thing in my creative journey. But I will say this as well, whether that's in fan film form or, in my dream, it would love to be in feature film form. I will return to Gotham one day.
Nice.
You heard it here, everybody.
Woo! That's awesome, man. Yeah, that was sweet. Very inspiring, actually.
So, hate to follow it up with this one, but
Sorry,
I feel like we should
jumped there.
like end episode.
Apologies.
Drop the mic. Rob, just drop the mic.
I fire myself now.
All right, well, now this is a solo act. So we're going to transition into a lot of the main topics of the show because we are also here to talk about the Jared Leto version of the Joker. So let's start with Rob. What is your opinion on the Jared Leto Joker?
Do you know, my opinion on the Jared Leto Joker has kind of varied backwards and forwards. I mean, first of all, I totally forgot about that music video. Wow. Oh my God. Like, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh my God, he was just on a boat.
Yeah.
That's literally all he did. I was like, I completely forgot about that. It just was like, wow, yeah, he really was just on a boat the whole time. Do you know what? Because we don't know the full extent of the stories of you know what happened on Suicide Squad, but clearly he was left on the cutting room floor. You know, there's stuff in the trailer that we've seen, and it's not there anymore. So clearly there's stuff there that's just been left in a, you know, maybe it's in Warner Brothers, you know, like the kind of the arc of something, and it's left in Area 51 or something of Warner Brothers, you know, in their archive system. Who knows? But I do feel sorry for Jared Leto's Joker because I think it does get a bad rap. I think some of his creative choices are bizarre, yes, but I'm glad he's not trying to be Heath. I'm glad he's not trying to be Jack, and I'm glad he's not trying to be Cesar Romero either. I mean, I would have loved him having a tash, but you know, there we go. But there can only be one Romero who does that.
Yes.
But I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. I think there are, as I said, there's some creative choices which don't work, but then there are choices which do work. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League does actually, bring redemption to that performance, especially with certain lines as well and certain moments as well, and that. You know, it's quite extraordinary that they filmed that scene during the pandemic as well, because, you know, I didn't realise that Ben Affleck's Batman and Jared Leto's Joker aren't in the same scene. It's just singles in different locations, and that in its own right is extraordinary. And to have those performances kind of gel as they do, because ideally you'd want them in the same space, so you have the actors listening to one another. So it is actually extraordinary to see that scene play out as it does, and it makes the scene even more special, really. The fact they were able to pull it off and actually give us at least one good scene between these two good actors as well, you know, because Jared Leto is a very good actor. I just think in terms of the direction from David Ayer, I think he had problems maybe even reeling him in. You know, please don't send condoms to the actor. Please don't send dead rats to Will Smith. Please don't send, I don't know, anything else that's, you know, completely disgusting and really, you know, unacceptable behavior. Even people would say, you know, like, come on, man, this is just, like, not right in the workplace. Right. You know, they can get away with it because they're actors. No, they can't. No, they bloody can't. You know, if I was to do, like, if I worked in a bank and I went, oh, here you go, Margaret, here's a dead redhead, everybody would go mental. In Jared Leto's case, it was, oh, he's method acting, which, you know, look, there's a fine line between method acting and being a total idiot, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, that's just going too far. So my opinion is that I think Jared Leto's Joker does get a bad rap. I do like certain elements to it, but I do think fundamentally it is flawed. So, yeah.
Awesome. Zach, your thoughts
all right.
on Jared Leto?
I also agree that I do think that he was redeemed in the Snyder cut of Justice League. I feel like, I don't know, I didn't have any gripes about him during that, and I think it has to do with writing and direction for the most part. I mean, there is some dialogue and behavior from him in Suicide Squad that just is beyond me, where it's not really like the Joker, and it's very cringeworthy. But I think he's not the only character, obviously, to his character is not the only one that has suffered due to the writing and just the mess that is Suicide Squad as it is. but I have grown to like him somewhat visually. I know you guys know that I'm doing the portraits of all the cinematic Jokers right now, and I'm choosing to do a portrait of him from Suicide Squad because I feel like that's kind of the look I was going for. I am omitting the tattoos, but everything else is pretty much the same. Like I really like the idea that it was I don't know. It's almost kind of like an update of Jack Nicholson's Joker, where he's very flashy, I guess, and extravagant, kind of over the top. But I didn't like the whole like SoundCloud rapper elements that they were adding to him. And I know people talk about the teeth supposed to be a grill, but the appliance that was used throughout most of the film is most certainly a grill. It's open faced. It doesn't look like he's had dental work. It just looks like a piece of jewelry. But there is a couple scenes where it's like solid metal, and I think that's kind of a cool idea. But yeah, he's interesting. He definitely is my least favorite Joker interpretation within Suicide Squad. I wish that there was more of him acting the way that he did in the Snyder Cut. It's a completely different film. There may be a reason that he's cut out of most of Suicide Squad. Maybe there's a lot of scenes that weren't working for everybody. So it's interesting. It is, to me, it is a weird footnote in DC history because it's the only version of the Joker I can think of that's kind of flopped. To me, that is a character that every time he's been in a film, it's like he steals the show. He is, enigmatic. Oh, Jared Leto's in there with you right now. But
I don't know what
that's right.
He's hearing what we're talking about. He just came in.
He's been enigmatic.
His ghost has the damage tattoo.
It was kind of a flop, I think. It was just so strange to me that I don't understand how such a misstep could have happened. But I'm sure we'll get into it even more throughout the episode.
We will. And also, Rob, if you're not familiar with Zach's work, Zach is not only a talented Joker voice, but he's also a talented Joker artist. He did this column of Jokers you can see behind Andrew right here.
It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
It's really lovely work.
I'll give you a sneak
awesome.
peek. This is not on Instagram
it.
yet, but I did finish the first of the series, which is the
Oh,
Joaquin
shit.
Phoenix Joker.
That's awesome, man.
That's
Thank you.
superb. That is
I know.
So
absolutely
talented.
superb.
I know that's your favorite one, Rob.
Yeah, it is. I have to say, yeah. I mean, I as blasphemous as this sounds, like I just remember we had that discussion on the Clubhouse chat. It was either Heath Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix. But having watched it again, I was just like, actually, Phoenix made me feel for him, and I hated him, but I also felt for him. And then I liked him because he was somewhat charming, and then I hated him again, and then but then I felt sorry for him again. And it's funny because you mentioned about the multiple people that have played Joker. Like, I think Joker now is going to be like one of the. It's going to be like a Shakespearean character, like Hamlet. There are going to be multiple people that will play this role, and there will be, ones that will probably most likely won't talk about as such because it's very obscure, and then there's the ones that will really stick out, we always remember people like Sir Patrick Stewart or even Ian McKellen doing Shakespeare, and because they're the big names, but they're the ones that have actually made a statement with that role. So, and it's going to be the same now with Joker.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Andrew, your thoughts on Jared Leto?
I mean, yeah, I feel the same as you guys. He's the worst live action one, but I wonder if like some of those Wall Street guys we talked about came in and ruined Ayer's vision, because if you look at Ayer's previous work, it's all really, really good. Something happened here. And Jared Leto, I mean, I don't like the damage tattoo at all, but other than that, I like the gator trench coat thing, the purple gator skin thing. Yeah, I think that's cool. It's different from all the other Jokers. If they just removed the tattoo, I could pretty much accept it, even the grill. And actors are often, they're the victim of their own movie. Like, there's so much they don't control also. And I mean, even though he seemed to be doing lots of stuff behind the scenes that we don't agree with, whenever he's in front of the camera, it's really magnetic. In Suicide Squad, it's really like, even though he's the worst, it's still like he's definitely doing something that was very appealing on screen and very like kind of catch your eye. Like I remember his stuff, I think probably the most out of everything in Suicide Squad. Honestly, I'd love to see the Ayer cut someday if they ever do that. Please go see Fury if you haven't, or End of Watch. Those are excellent movies by Ayer. And I guess that's about it. Yeah, I don't know. It could have been much better, obviously.
Yeah. I do agree with everything that's been said. In some ways, he is a victim of the material, because I'm convinced that if, in an alternate universe, Heath Ledger gets cast as the Joker in Suicide Squad, but has the same exact script, we would not be saying the same stuff about Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, yeah, for
in
sure.
terms of just the dialogue and everything that he's been given. Like, there's only so much that you can do. When you're watching it, sometimes I watch it not just from the perspective of the actor, but also from just like, how would this look on the page? And I look at the page and I'm just like, there's only so much you can do with some of that type of stuff. I'm not saying that it was all terrible, but it is in some ways, it is one of the least memorable versions, but that's because of the material. At least what we were presented in the theatrical cut is the least memorable of it. And I also think that one of the things that cripples the Leto Joker, in my opinion, is something that is a strength of Ledger's Joker that people don't talk about. Everyone talks about how Ledger's Joker is frightening and scary and this force of nature, but one of the more underrated things that people don't talk about is that Heath Ledger is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's
in
funny.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that, because I was worried going into The Dark Knight that this was all going to be very like Saw, R-rated, dark, edgelord Joker. No humor whatsoever. And then he's like making you crack up even when he puts a pencil through a guy's eye. And I'm just like, that's the Joker. That's the Joker I want. And at no point did I ever really feel like Leto's Joker was funny. Had much of a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's true.
Or if it did was a sense of humor, it was like a weird sense of humor of like, that one guy who just laughs at shit that you're just like, I don't know why that's funny, but okay. Like that's kind of what it evoked to me in comparison. And I think it's sort of weird looking at that in that perspective and saying, I think that's the element that's missing. Okay. Is that he doesn't really come across as funny and doesn't come across as super scary. He's just kind of very in the middle and very eccentric and weird.
I see, yeah.
Which makes him not really super threatening, but also not super funny either. So that's why he kind of falls right in the middle.
Right.
So that's my opinion on it.
But you did say, this is a good point, out of all the live-action Jokers, his strength, and this is because it was written this way from the ground up, he's the most, you could see him having a Harley Quinn the most.
I brought this up too. So in terms of strength, out of all the Jokers, maybe Jack Nicholson, but obviously Harley wasn't around at the time. But
that is true.
Out
actually,
of all the Jokers,
maybe,
because Leto's is the most seductive Joker. Throughout it, and I'll bring this up later. He's the one who you can see there being a Harley Quinn. I can't really see Ledger's Joker having a Harley Quinn. At least no more than like 2 seconds before he's just like, all right, I'm gonna kill you now.
Yeah, I can't see him at all having a Harley.
But this one definitely, and I was also really appreciative of the fact that Snyder was able to get him on for Justice League just so that we can get a scene, because we might not even be getting any more than that. That might be the last time we ever see those versions. We'll see. But anyway, let's go into our deep dive into the Joker stuff. So I'm going to go a little bit into the comic history as relevant to the Jared Leto version, and feel free to chime in, guys, on any of these opinions or anything that you might not have known. So just like what we did with the Lex Luthor and Jesse Eisenberg episode, we're going to go through the Joker history in the comics, specifically in how it relates to the Jared Leto version, before we end up going into Jared Leto's actual performance and all the insight into all the different things he did to method act, as Robin brought up. So
there's a rat in this panel. Look.
There was definitely a rat involved. So I'll leave it at that. There's more later. So Joker was introduced in the comics in Batman #1 by Bill Finger, Bob Kane, Jerry Robinson in 1940, same year that Lex Luthor was created. So it's kind of funny that their arch nemeses were created in the same exact year.
It's awesome.
Robinson is the one widely considered to be the main creator, and it's his original design, or either his or Kane's design of the Joker card, that makes it into the nightmare sequence.
There is some debate on the creation of the Joker, right? This is probably a whole other episode in and of itself, but
Yeah.
mainly Robinson is the main name, right?
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah.
At least he was the last surviving one to have some, consulting on The Dark Knight, I believe.
Wasn't Kane like, I was all me for a
Yeah,
while?
he said Kane used to say that Joker
We've
was
got into that
based
in the
off
past.
of his face, or he drew him like.
It's
Like, 'cause
mainly
his
me.
face was more gaunt at the time
Yeah.
or thinner when he was younger. He's like, oh yeah, I always thought I looked a little like the Joker. I remember reading that somewhere.
Was that right at Coney Island too, right?
Well, I mean, look at Conrad Veidt in The
Yeah.
Man Who Laughs.
Oh, that too. Yes, yes.
I think that's pretty much like, you can't deny that.
Yeah, that's undeniable. Yes.
So, anyway, it's the original design for the Joker card that makes it into the Snyderverse, with Joker pulling it out as a sign of the truce and Batman carrying it on his machine gun, as we saw in Batman vs. Superman, which I really enjoyed that aspect because it's the most faithful, I guess, carryover from the comics of the Joker card specifically. So, I really like that. Jumping ahead...
But can I just say, what a terrible way to carry that playing card, though? Because if you lose that gun... Then you're screwed. That was the thing I pointed out straight away when someone said, oh yeah, the card's there now it's on the gun, now it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, but what if he loses the gun? And then, if you drop it down for 1 second and, I don't know, like the wind just blows it, again, it's a gun, I know, like it wouldn't blow away because of the wind. I'm just exaggerating. But what if someone takes the gun and goes, no, that's my gun because it's got the card on it. It's like, well, can't you just pick up another gun? It's like, no, it has to be that one. I want to see that scene. That needs to be a scene in a future movie where someone picks up Batman's gun and it's like, no one picks up my gun, all right? You pick
It's a
your own
sign
gun.
of the truce that I had with the Joker.
Plus, you hated guns.
I honestly think...
That's beside the point.
I think that it's retroactive. I believe that in the beginning that was supposed to be a trophy that he had killed the Joker whenever they first did the Nightmare version of Batman. Then they probably went back and were like, you know what, let's make him his little truce card for his partner. I don't know. Something about that always made me feel like it was something.
Yeah, because it would have been off-putting if you ended Justice League with Batman killing the Joker and getting his card and putting it as a trophy on the machine gun. I just don't think that would have worked as well.
A little bit out of character.
I mean,
I know we're taking liberties.
So,
Nightmare. Well, yeah, that's true.
I was just going to say, we all know what Snyder is capable of. Like, he would have... believe me, I will fucking kill you. Not going to lie, badass line, but we all know that he would have done it if he had the chance. I'm just saying, he would have done it.
Jumping ahead, it wasn't until 1950 that we got kind of an origin story for the Joker, thanks to Bill Finger in the story The Man Under the Red Hood, saying that he was a criminal known as the Red Hood with a huge red bowl on his head. Not the salad bowl that we talked
bowl
about
on his head.
with Jay Garrick, but
where did
different
that
type of
red bowl come from, by the way? Yeah,
I don't know. It looks
info
like
on that?
It looks like
It looks like
I know.
Mr.
On
Priest's
his head.
helmet was just spray painted red. It's like...
It's true. That's true, yes. So
That's
in the
probably
comic,
what it was, to be honest with you.
in the comic, he dives into a waste basin where all the chemicals are being emptied out, and he came out looking like the Joker. Now, it's implied that the Leto Joker took the same type of chemical bath in Suicide Squad, since his skin appears to be permanently white, and he takes Harleen Quinzel to Ace Chemicals, which she will later blow up in the Birds of Prey movie.
Yeah.
Though it's never actually explicitly stated in the movie that he dove in there himself, but we can kind of see that it's implied. 'cause
Seems like it,
it's
yeah.
Ace Chemicals.
Yeah.
On that note, I wanted to throw this out there because there's an interesting mystery I think that people don't bring up with Ace Chemicals, which is where, in your minds, if you think about, did Ace Chemicals first appear? Open floor.
Ace Chemicals?
Where did it...
Ace
When
Chemicals,
did it
the
first
chemicals, where Joker first jumps in. Where do you
In
think
the
it first
comics.
showed up?
I mean, this sounds like it's later than we expect, huh? The
Maybe.
70s?
I kind of want to say 89. I feel like they kind of came up with it then. I mean, am I wrong?
It was,
I'm probably
it was
wrong.
Axis.
in that regard,
Axis
but-
in 89.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It is Access.
Oh,
Thought
yeah.
it-
But I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah,
it
you're
came
right.
from...
Exactly. Yes.
I was going to say the animated series, but I can't remember if it was ever called Ace in the comics. I know in the Man Under the Red Hood, it was like the Monarch playing card company was next door. Are we talking like the Killing Joke? Was it Ace in that?
Yep. All right, so let's go into it because this causes a lot of debate, as you've seen.
Wow.
In terms of where it shows up. If you look on just Wikipedia, they're saying like, oh, it shows up in The Man Under the Red Hood. It does not. What shows up in The Man Under the Red Hood is him jumping into the basin.
Are you saying Wikipedia's wrong?
Mind blown. It's next to the Monarch Playing Card Company, like Zach said, because specifically Joker comes out, looks like the Joker, and he's like, well, it was next to the Monarch Playing Card Company, so I'm going to name myself after a card, and I look like a Joker, so therefore I'm going to be the Joker. Ace Chemicals is never mentioned in The Man Under the Red Hood. In the comics, it first appears, it seems like, in 1988's The Killing Joke. But there's another wrinkle in this, which is that 2 years earlier, in 1986, Sam Hamm wrote the first draft to what would become Batman 89. And in that script, it wasn't called Access Chemicals. It was called Ace Chemicals.
Ah.
So chronologically, 1986 is when Sam Hamm writes Ace Chemicals into the script. There's another wrinkle in this too, which is why I'm just like, this is a mystery. Because Sam Hamm also had access to the original comic scripts for The Killing Joke.
Oh, yeah.
And even had lines from The Killing Joke in one of his original drafts, even though it was cut later from the movie. But he loved The Killing Joke. As we've talked about in previous episodes, Alan Moore even had a lunch with Tim Burton about it. But,
Get Gotham right.
Yeah, get Gotham right is what I told him, and they certainly did. But it's kind of adds more to this mystery where just like either Sam Hamm came up with it, and I think more likely what happens is Alan Moore comes up with it, puts it in the comic. Sam Hamm's like, oh, that's the name of the chemical plant when he sees the comic script, puts it into his script in 1986, and then for some reason it gets changed into Access Chemicals for the movie.
So you posit that it comes from Alan Moore.
I think it probably comes from Alan Moore, yeah.
Okay, more than likely. Okay, another contribution.
Yes. So also notable in this time period in the comics, in 88, of course, was also The Death in the Family, where Joker killed Robin. Mm-hmm. And we did a whole episode just on everything you don't know about The Death in the Family, as well as the fact that Robin's death was hinted at in The Dark Knight Returns before we saw it in The Death in the Family. But as we covered in our Secret Origins of Ben Affleck's Batman episode, it doesn't quite turn out the way it did in the comics, because in the Snyderverse, Joker didn't kill Jason Todd, he killed Dick Grayson, according to Snyder himself. Mm-hmm. And according to the behind-the-scenes stories, as we talked about in that episode, Joker set him on fire along with Wayne Manor. We speculated.
That's rough.
I speculated that Joker left him alive just long enough under fire to spray paint the "Joke's on you" Batman message on him, and for Robin to quote unquote die in Batman's arms, as he says in Justice League. So I kind of feel like Jason Todd got the better end of that, where he just got blown up as opposed to getting burnt close to death, and then have Joker spray paint shit on him. So. Also discussed in that episode is that Suicide Squad director David Ayer's idea was that Batman knocked Joker's teeth out in retaliation for Joker killing Robin. And that's why he has the smile tattoo on his hand to make up for the smile, as well as the damage tattoo on his forehead to sort of mock Batman, saying that, you damaged my face.
If they'd shown a little bit more of that, it would have been like, oh, okay, I can accept this.
But they didn't. I did find some precedent in the comics for something like this, with not the metal teeth, but him getting his teeth knocked out. In Birds of Prey number 124, called Smile for the Birdie, written by Tony Bedard, pencils by Claude St. Albin, and inks by John Floyd, he gets his teeth knocked out, not by Batman, but by Barbara Gordon.
Nice.
Which seems like
Good for her.
A nice revenge after the Killing Joke.
Yeah, for sure.
Barbara seems to use an Eskrima stick in order to do that, and even some point out the shape of the broken teeth in the panel seem to actually match what they did with the grill and Leto's, because you can see some real teeth and some metal teeth in that. So
interesting.
I'll leave that for you guys to judge. We'll put those images in the show notes so that you can take a look at that. So as discussed in our Batfleck episode, in Ayer's original timeline, Leto's Joker was meant to have killed Robin, then landed in Arkham, where he got the tattoos and the grill, and then he met Harleen Quinzel. In the film, however, they changed it all around. It says that Harley Quinn was the accomplice in Robin's death, which means that Joker already had the metal teeth and tattoos before beating Harley, and then they killed Robin together. David Ayer is on record blaming Jeff Johns for this, like we said in the Batfleck episode. So.
Oh, man. Those who were once heroes in the comics field.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself.
Dude, that is the most real but most pessimistic line ever, but even though it's pessimistic doesn't mean it's not true. Like that line is basically saying, even though if you're a great hero for a long time, you're going to disappoint everybody eventually. That's what it feels like.
Or you're going to die.
Yeah, you're gonna die before that. Yeah.
Anyway, Let's stick to the original air timeline on this. Arkham Asylum is likely where Joker got his tats, and on his right bicep there is a tattoo of an arrow killing a bird, specifically a robin. So that's a reference, obviously, to that. We'll dive into why Joker has tattoos later in this episode, but I just wanted to ask up front to everyone, do you have opinions on Joker having tattoos? I guess we can start with Rob.
Ay.
All right, Zach.
So one of the yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Next, there are certain elements to it that I like. You know, there are certain elements to it because I think, as you said, Zach, like there are certain elements of the look that are actually quite appealing to Jared Leto's Joker. There are actually like one of the things that I think. I'm not sure if one of you guys pointed that, so do please forgive me. But I like the fact that he plays this kind of clown prince of crime character. You know, that's kind of the real, you know, first time we've seen that kind of. I mean, I suppose to an extent we've got the gangster from, you know, 89. Then you've got the terrorist kind of persona of Leto's, and you've got the clown literally from Romero. But here we've got kind of this clown prince of crime gangster. Perception, and I think in many ways this is an interesting kind of blend of how do we bring this character into a modern age, and I think what they do is they kind of went in a form of stereotyping in that, you know, criminals have tattoos, of course they do, you know, kind of thing. So that's what it kind of came across to me anyway as. So when I saw the tattoos, the first one obviously that sticks out like a sore thumb, which is like if you ever said to somebody, oh yeah, let's be really subtle, yeah, let's put damage on forehead, shall we? there's your subtlety right there. You know, that's, you know, and even Ayer has even said since that's the one regret he's had about making that film, which fundamentally I would say, well, any more regrets? But no, I mean, look, the one regret is the tattoo of subtle, you know, a tattoo of subtle. Imagine that as a tattoo.
That would have been better. Yeah, that would have been better.
Subtle.
That's funny. That would have been funny.
Oh
yeah.
The damage, but there are certain tattoos. I do like the Robin, like as you said, like the arrow one. I actually like the smile one. Like you were saying earlier, like the reason why we don't probably identify with this Joker or even like this Joker necessarily is because he's not really that funny. There's one scene I did like with him in where he's talking to somebody in a bar and he does the smile, but instead of using his own smile, he does the mouth, and I found that quite unique actually to actually see this quite hideous looking tattoo of a grin on his hand like that. And I did think, actually, do you know what? That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's really cool and quite intimidating as well, because what's more terrifying, seeing somebody with the metal teeth thing, but then to have a nice-ish kind of tattoo of a smile on your hand to kind of downplay the awfulness of his look, and also gives kind of an interesting kind of take on Joker being very self-conscious of his image, which I never thought would be kind of addressed, but it is sort of addressed with Leto's Joker. So I would fundamentally say I would be against the tattoos, but the one element of it having on his hand and everything is somewhere it does work well. And the only movie that I can think of where they utilize tattoos really well is the movie Memento. So, if they really wanted to really kind of play on that, this idea of, I mean, not him losing his memory or anything, because that would just be weird. Although, technically speaking, we don't know who Joker is in this, do we? So, that could have been something. But
that's what happened to Guy Pearce after he became the Joker.
Actually, that could have worked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's looking down. It's like, Joker. Ooh. But I like the idea that some of the tattoos do have a story to tell in their own right. I just think having, it's like the lead singer of Maroon 5 being the Joker. He's just covered in tattoos, and you're just looking at him and thinking, well, first of all, why have you got Los Angeles tattooed across your stomach? Like, cause in case you forget where you grew up or where you live. Like, I'm not going to put, let's be honest, I'm not going to put Leytonstone across my belly, because first of all, Leytonstone in London is, a very, There's that word again. It's a shithole. So I'm not going to put shithole. I might as well put shithole on my stomach. So, yeah. And it's the same with what I was saying before, like subtlety. Just put subtle. That probably would have been, as you said, it would have been funnier.
Yeah.
If, all I'm saying is that the tattoos needed to tell more of a story for it to be impactful. But at the moment, they come across as cheap and forced in trying to convey something which is already right in front of us, and like I said, the hand tattoo thing I think is interesting, but that's my take on his tattoos anyway.
Sure. Zach?
Yeah, they're very tacky, I would say, is his tattoos are. I like what you said about his vanity, though, because I do feel like they really they tried to kind of get that point across with Nicholson's iteration of the character too. Like, he was a very vain individual before he was the Joker, and even as he was the Joker, I can tell all of his costume changes. He's still very much into loving himself, really. So he's very narcissistic. Kind of opposite of Ledger, who obviously didn't take care of himself at all.
Does not look like.
Yeah, I can see that with right. But with Leto, like, everything's like very, very flashy, but yes, still tacky. I think it would have been better if he maybe just had one really big tattoo on his back, like in the what is it, All-Star Batman and Robin? Because it was supposed to be like the Frank Miller Joker still. So I think it would have been really cool if it was just that Robin with the like switchblade through it on his back, and you see it like one time, and I was like, oh, that would be really kind of cool and also scary. But yeah, it's the amount of tattoos that kind of come off as just a little bit trashy, and so many of them are just self-referential. It's not like all of them are telling a story. It's like, Joker, haha, haha, I got the like smiles everywhere. And I like the Jester one, the skeleton Jester head. That one's kind of cool, but yeah, the ones on his face are just irredeemable. He doesn't need to have anything on his face. It's I think we talked about this before, maybe with either the Eisenberg Lex episode, or maybe when we talked about Affleck's Batman. But this is a character who has become like scarred in a way, or at least physically transformed. Part of why he's driven insane within the comics is because his appearance has been altered to look like a clown, and that drove him insane. So why would this guy that's already gone through this transformation feel the need to like further that transformation with like tattoos on his face? It just seems a little bit off. I don't know. That's a character choice that I don't agree with. But like I said, if it was that one on his back, maybe we see it one time when it has his shirt off, I think that would have been kind of cool and dark if it was just that one.
I think that's really cool, actually. I think that would have been really. I think that would have told the entire story in itself, as you said, just in like a Robin on his back, as you said with the switchblade thing. They would have nailed it. One thing that I was just thinking of when you mentioned that was because you remember in Batman vs Superman, this whole thing about branding people. Imagine, I mean, I like the notion that he broke his teeth. I think that's great. Or even Barbara Gordon breaking his teeth. But what if you played up that whole brand thing and had him over the heart? Because, that's, Joker sees, it's, Heath Ledger's, you complete me moment type thing. You could have had the Bat brand over his heart because, that would have been, I mean, even if it wasn't branded, but like a tattoo in its own right, because that would have cemented that that's what Joker's true, kind of love interest in a way, you could say. Yes. It really is. It's his fixation. That's what he's really fixated on is the man himself. It's the Batman. So I think that would have been more of a powerful tattoo or scarring in some way, I think.
Zach, you can now do the redesigned version of the Leto Joker based off of our ideas for this episode.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do an illustration of him from the back, like turned around with that thing tattoo on him. I don't know. Like I said, I just feel like maybe the people that were involved with this didn't really know a lot about him, they obviously. It's okay to take liberties with a character, especially like the Joker, because every new interpretation should be different. It should be new. we didn't want to see Leto dressed up like Ledger. That's not really respectful,
Right.
and it's not bringing his. It's he's not able to bring his own thing, his own interpretation to the character. But in the book, like the Suicide Squad making of book, or maybe it's the Art of Suicide Squad, something like that. I do own it. Because I don't know, I'm a completionist. I have to have like all this stuff. But I see it. There's a lot of concept art, and honestly, he's got even more tattoos in the concept art than he does on film.
does.
Oh wow.
There's one of him in his underwear where he's got it on his legs and stuff. And I'm like, I just can't imagine the Joker being that way. But it's a different interpretation.
I don't really have that much of a problem with any of the tattoos except for the damaged one. He could be fully tatted
Yeah.
to his neck. I love the bicep one with the robin and all that. If it had more, like if tattoos told a story that's not damaged, I'm totally fine with it. I have no problem at all, really. It's just that singular thing that totally ruins it.
As people said in 2016, but how am I supposed to know that he's damaged?
I don't know. I don't know.
I do agree with you on it, where I'm just like, I don't mind the ones on his body. I do think the biggest thing that would have helped this is if we had a flashback of Leto as traditional Joker getting his teeth pounded out by Affleck. Then you see the new version.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, I get why he looks like that. And then I think everyone's on board with that. Like, once you tell people he's got the metal teeth because Affleck punched his teeth in due to the death of Robin, everyone's just like, oh, I get it. Like, nobody's just like, that's a stupid explanation. Like, everybody likes that explanation.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's great. Too bad we didn't fucking see it.
Yeah.
When you should actually have it in the movie.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things that I think they should have done. They should have shown that, especially given how much in the Snyderverse that informs Batman's state of mind. And
Him
Batman
just
versus
laughing
Superman.
maniacally while getting beaten the shit out of.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
we're missing
Yeah.
the actual death of the family sequence that would have made us a little bit more on board for where both Batman and Joker are at when we first meet them in this universe.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that. So anyway, back to the timeline.
No room in that film for that fun stuff.
No, instead we gotta have music video type stuff.
Add the boat to this movie. Just, who cares at this point?
We must have Will Smith shooting targets to Kanye for about 5 minutes, please.
That's right.
God.
All right, so back to the timeline. Joker ends up, of course, as we saw, manipulating Harleen Quinzel and Arkham into giving him access to a machine gun, apparently, and ends up putting her through electroshock therapy. Now, it's implied in the extended cut of Suicide Squad that Harleen, this is all in revenge because Harleen put him through electroshock therapy, and Joker brings up that she erased some of his own past memories.
Okay.
Which implies that maybe this would have been his life before he was the Joker, and now he forgets everything.
This is comic book / movie thinking here, where electroshock therapy will, reformat your hard drive of your brain. That's what's going on
Well,
here.
apparently it works in terms of turning her into Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And this revenge could also be why Joker says that he's going to hurt her, really, really bad in the movie. Overall, though, the Harley Quinn origin in Suicide Squad, obviously an adaptation of the Paul Dini and Bruce Timm storyline, Mad Love, before Dini brought her into the main comic continuity during the No Man's Land arc in 1999, which we also covered on here last year in our thematic tie-ins to the COVID situation.
Yeah.
But I also just thought I'd note something that most people don't point out, which is that a lot of people forget Jared Leto is older than Ben Affleck. He was 45 at the time of the Suicide Squad's release. Margot Robbie was 26.
He's got the Paul Rudd gene.
There's a 19-year difference. Yeah, he's drinking the blood of the youth. I think we talked about one
he's
time.
really Morbius and
He
drinking some
really is
blood.
Morbius.
Yeah. Something's going on
There's
there.
a 19-year age difference between Leto and Margot Robbie, and this age difference is actually implied in No Man's Land.
Nice.
In the comic The Code, written by Bronwyn Taggart, pencils by Tom Morgan, and inks by David Roach, a potential suitor for Harley says Joker is, quote, old enough to be your dad. So that's
Sounds
something.
good, yeah.
I don't think that was necessarily something that we got in the cartoon. We never got the sense that he was that much older than her.
I don't think that's not necessary for that type of show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comics, there's all this history anyway with the Joker that it kind of makes sense. that he would be a lot older than her. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that it is kind of somewhat comic accurate to have Leto be about 19 to 20 years older than Margot Robbie on this. I point this out as well because a lot of fan theories were that Jared Leto was not the real Joker, but was Jason Todd as the Joker.
That was people would not let that go.
Just like everyone wanted Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor to be the son of Bryan Cranston's Lex Luthor.
But he's officially Lex Jr. though, right? That's an official thing.
That's true. He is officially Lex Jr. Whereas Jared Leto's Joker, there was. He was in 3 minutes of Suicide Squad. So if you want to interpret him as a Jason Todd as a Joker, then you could.
We have a real 45-year-old Robin at that point as well.
Yeah. Not just Chris O'Donnell.
Not just Chris
O'Donnell. A real 45-year-old Robin.
I kind of want that now.
Forgot casting a kid. He's got to be 45 years old as Robin.
If he got a Robin tattoo as Robin, and then
I know.
Added to that tattoo after becoming Joker. I don't know.
He
Now my head
doesn't need to be in the
going.
tights. He needs to just have a Robin symbol on his chest, and he's just walking around with a green Speedo on.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Just see that scene playing out right now. Batman, I'm a 40-year-old man, and you're making me wear shorts still, man. Like, I'm in these shorts. Why the fuck are you doing this to me? And why are you making this stupid Robin costume? I'm 40 years old. I'm still older than you, Robin. You take it or leave it. And
I need a good target. Yes.
Yeah.
You look cool. What are you talking about?
So back to Joker and Harley. Later in the relationship, we saw in Suicide Squad, Joker convinced Harleen to jump into the chemicals, which was something Harley did in the New 52 comics as opposed to the animated series where she just put on makeup and we saw plenty of her as, regular Harleen Quinzel.
Right.
Funny enough, in the comics, Joker pushes her in the vat as opposed to the origin in Suicide Squad where she jumps on her own accord. And as we noted in the amazing animated Harley Quinn show, they kind of did both where Harley always thought that Joker pushed her, but when she goes back into her memory, she finds out she actually jumped on her own accord.
Right.
The Jared Leto Joker may be associated... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, the dialogue in that part is the cringiest to me. Maybe even cringier than... handsome hunka hunka, and the you don't want no beef and all this stuff. It's whatever he's saying there. I can't remember what it is, but it is just like cringy. I'm like, this doesn't even sound like the Joker. Like, would you live for me and all this stuff. It just seems like really melodramatic.
I was just going to say, it's what I was saying before. It feels like, it feels like just a series of stereotypes. Like even the hunga bit, which part of me kind of felt like I was like watching Al Pacino in Heat or something. Doing because she got a great ass. I was kind of expecting him to do that at some point. But it's like I said, it's just a play off of stereotypes. But look, this is what happens when you've only got 6 weeks to write a script. You get this, and you've got no. It's. But I agree that scene where it should be one of the most heartbreaking, but also quite romantic, but also devastating scenes, is comedic, and it's not like supposed to be. It's unintentionally comedic because I remember watching.
It's like.
I remember watching Suicide Squad in the cinema and. Sadly, there was more laughter in moments where there shouldn't have been, and that moment you've mentioned right there is a perfect example of it. So, yeah.
It's got that music video, or the music behind it too, and it's just, it is so bizarre. And I will say too that this is like a little gripe, and it's kind of like what Andrew always talks about. Who gives a fuck who changes the Batmobile's wheels?
Yes,
this is my gripe. I think that the chemicals are supposed to be the same chemicals that the Joker fell in. So why is Harley's hair not green? Is something I always think about.
Also, if he's taking another dip in, how is he not greener and more white afterwards?
Yeah, will it not burn off his tattoos? And it's like, I don't know. She doesn't seem like she's in there very long. I don't know. It's weird. And then I thought, well, what if his hair isn't green? What if it just bleached his hair too and he dyes it green? Then I can kind of get behind it because I remember reading somewhere that, Harley's hair is blonde, but it's permanently got blue and pink on the ends, but eventually that's going to grow out. That doesn't make sense. So I don't know. That's some stupid gripe stuff for me.
Maybe he was using all new improved Joker products.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I think that's what it was, actually.
Funny enough, you mentioned that, Zach, because I think Alex Ross always had the idea that Joker falls into the chemicals and just his skin is bleached.
Okay.
And everything else is a product of his own design, of the green hair and the red lips.
What about the rictus grin?
Well,
it depends on that interpretation. Yeah, it's not permanent like it is with Nicholson most of the time.
Okay, all right.
Let's see. Jared Leto is mainly associated with kind of the Snyderverse because of this year's Justice League, but we have to remember, technically, Snyder wasn't really the one who cast him. It was David Ayer and Warner Brothers for Suicide Squad.
Yes.
But we could have gotten Zack Snyder's Joker before Suicide Squad because, as we covered in our Patreon episode for the unused BVS ideas, according to Zack Snyder, the Joker was planned to appear in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice along with the Riddler. And my speculation is maybe Snyder had planned to show Robin's death at that point.
Could have been, yeah.
So, maybe. We'll see. But instead, it was down to David Ayer to cast the Joker, and funny enough, in concept art, which we'll put in the show notes, it looks like one person they used for the art was actor Mark Strong as the Joker, who was Sinestro in Green Lantern movies, Savant in Shazam. He's in a shit ton of stuff.
WB loves that guy.
He's great.
He must get along with everybody, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Again, this is concept art, so that doesn't necessarily mean that he was their number one choice. He could just be like,
somebody to go off
somebody
of.
like that.
Yeah.
According to industry trades, though, the first choice who was offered was Ryan Gosling.
Weird.
Gosling was offered and apparently balked at the idea of signing for multiple movies. I mean, joke's on him because Leto didn't even do multiple movies until the Snyder Cut. And as we all know, though, the role did go to Jared Leto hot after winning the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And we're going to go into Lefford's method acting stories. But more than that, sort of the comic books that relate to his Joker and the specific Joker he's trying to convey. And we'll take that after the break.
Hi, I'm Ray, and this is my friend Alex.
Hi.
And we do a show called No More Whoppers.
Some call it corn, we call it therapy.
We're adults with the virility of men.
Want to hear us read snack food copy and talk about Japanese chips? Too bad!
Join us every month or so on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with Barkbox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right. One free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the Barkbox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you. Hey Batman, shit's gone down real fast. We need the Justice League to help out the Teen Titans right now.
Okay, we can get to that, but first, what the fuck are you wearing? You used to wear an actual fucking suit, but now you're wearing a black t-shirt with the red S? Is that what we're going with now?
Well, yeah, I mean, I figured it would save time.
It saves time, but this is worse than the glasses with Clark. This is fucking ridiculous. You look fucking literally no different than any other fucking time. I have to put on a fucking gauntlets, gloves, panties, boots.
Wait, did you just say panties?
Yes, bat panties.
Okay.
An underbelt. The symbol actually goes on top of the chest piece. My cape, the cowl, the ears into the cowl.
Okay, well...
And a lot more than that. Not to mention everything that goes into the utility belt. Shark repellent, bolos, and other shit.
I might be stepping out of line here, Batman, but it sounds like you're just a little jealous.
I'm not jealous. I think it's stupid.
Okay, well,
Do you not even care about your secret identity anymore?
You gonna contact the Justice League? I mean, we could talk about this another time. Shit's gone down real bad in Central City.
I need to figure this out right now, before we go.
People are dying, but okay. This was supposed to be a 2-second visit, but I guess we're talking about this.
It's their fault.
Wow, okay. Victim blaming. I see where things have gone now.
Under Armour, at least. This is jeans, too, with fucking What? Just wear some fucking khakis. Where's your fucking Jimmy Buffett hat? You know what? Where the fuck is that? This is stupid.
Well, since I have powers, I don't really need much protection out there.
Ah, this is. I mean, well, what about the rest of the super family? Or whatever the fuck you call them. All those other super people. They got S's and shit.
Well, yeah, but
Blue suits or something similar. And Steel has an S too and shit.
they're actually Kryptonian.
Steel's not Kryptonian. He's got a cool suit.
I have an S too. It's right here.
But it's not. That's it though.
Well, yeah, but it's at least the S.
That's all you care about.
Yeah, I'm Superboy. They see the S, they know I'm Superboy. The end. Why do I need anything else?
Get a fucking cape. Here, do you need the fucking... I'll get Alfred.
Dude, I don't need...
To go fucking get you a cape right now.
I don't need a cape in order to fly. You need the cape, because otherwise, if you don't have a cape, you look like Mouse Man or something.
Fledermaus. That's what they call me in Germany.
All right, so you're gonna call the Watchtower, right?
I mean, I guess. They're probably all dead by now, but sure.
I wonder why.
Well, you got super speed. Go fucking do it.
I should have just gone to the Fortress of Solitude.
Fucking stupid capeless fuck.
Hi, my name is Rob Ayling. I'm the writer and director of Living in Crime Alley, the Batman fan film, and you are listening to Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
All right, welcome back to Supervillain Stuff You Should Know, and now we're going to dive into a special deep dive of the Jared Leto Joker.
We made it.
We made it.
We made it, everybody.
We're finally going to talk about Leto specifically.
Is that what this is about?
His method acting. So at the time, Leto had he had long hair and a beard, and had it all cut during the makeup tests. If you watch the featurette on the Suicide Squad release, David Ayer himself cuts Leto's ponytail.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember seeing this.
Yeah. And they even shaved his eyebrows, which I think Zach's noted to us before, which I honestly don't like because of, like, just look at how expressive Joker can be in the comics with the eyebrows, and once you lose that, I'm just like, I don't know. Though, Zach, you did point out to me that technically the Batman the Animated Series Joker doesn't have eyebrows, but I think because it's animated, you don't really notice and doesn't bother you because of how expressive that version
I'm
is.
not sure if that's what they want.
I don't think they did it because of the animated series.
Yeah, it's animated. There's a lot that's just left to the imagination.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... I don't know. I
mean,
think he probably would have
Nicholson's
eyebrows.
eyebrows. I mean, like, look how much he was able to get out of that.
Well, I told you
Yeah.
that they were originally, the reason they shaved him is the mock-up, having the, like, ha-has tattooed in his eyebrows. I've seen the little test shoots for that. It's even more stupid, so I'm glad
they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Mr. Leto, we're actually not going to do the tattoos on the eyebrows, so you're just going to have to wait for them to grow back.
Oh, man.
On the 75th anniversary of the Joker, April 24th, 2015, they released the first picture of Leto's Joker with his hands on his head, mimicking the famous pose from The Killing Joke, done by Brian Bolland. And people who didn't want to believe the tattoos were just like, that's just Photoshop as part of the Joker
It's April
anniversary.
Fool's Day,
He's
yeah.
not going to look like that.
Yes.
And I was just like, you guys are in denial because
Yeah.
I've seen this movie not specific movie, but I mean like the movie of filmmakers fucking with canon.
Yeah.
And every single time we're just like, there's no way he's going to look like that in the movie, right? It's going to be more comic accurate.
Yeah.
It's like the Anakin Skywalker and Padme meme that's going around. We're just like waiting for them to clarify.
Yeah.
It's not going to look any different.
Okay, he's Robin then. Yeah, that was part of the denial, I think.
And then they're just like, okay, he's Robin then, because there's no way this is the real Joker.
Yeah.
William Dafoe is the Joker. And, like, everybody came up with all sorts of shit. I know, on the verge of graceness. But anyway, I mainly didn't like the damage tattoo, but in terms of, I mean, this is somewhat controversial for me, but I liked the idea of, hey, like, the hairstyle at least seems pretty faithful. The overall, just how he looks in general. It looks basically like the traditional Joker with grill and tattoos added onto it.
Yes.
So I didn't mind it so much. In fact, I did actually have a better reaction at first glance than I did to the Ledger Joker. Again, that's nothing against Ledger himself.
Interesting.
Because I didn't really... I felt and I've brought this up before on the podcast, where I felt as if the scarred smile and stuff almost looked too horror movie-ish, and that they would go too far on just like making him edgelord R-rated Joker, as opposed to, something that I find more interesting in the comics and the animated series, where he's a nice mix and balance between scary and funny at the same time. But luckily we got that. through Ledger's performance.
Definitely.
And the strength of the writing on that. This is notably the first live-action version of the character to not receive any alteration to the smile other than just, the lipstick. So Nicholson's smile was permanent from the disfigurement, thanks to the Nick Dudman makeup. Ledger obviously had the scars, and Romero, Ledger, and Phoenix all had the lipstick extending out.
Ah, right.
So where did the tattoos come from? Let's go into it.
Would love to know, actually.
Ayer said it was inspired by looking on Instagram.
Looking on SoundCloud.
Looking specifically on the Instagram for drug lords and their lifestyle. So kind of tying into what Rob was talking about on how it's just like, oh, let's go off of stereotypes of criminals today in 2016, which is also why Joker has a lot of the flashier accessories, the purple Lamborghini, the bling, things that we associate with like modern gangsters and rappers and shit.
There's something to be said about striking out on your own, putting your stamp on this character. It's just the damage tattoo.
But that's a nice segue in talking about the possible comic book inspiration for these. So there is precedent for the Joker having tattoos, as brought up before by Zack, and that's in the All-Star Batman and Robin from Frank Miller and Jim Lee. And let's bring up the cover for those who are watching on YouTube. Here it is. It is Joker with a dragon tattoo on his back. And funny enough, on the merchandise for Suicide Squad, the Jared Leto Joker has a dragon tattoo on the statue.
They explain why this red dragon ever?
Nope.
Okay, he just has a red dragon tattoo. He likes Dungeons and Dragons.
He's damaged.
Okay.
I think it's the allusion to what the Hannibal Lecter film Red Dragon.
Oh, is that what it is?
I feel like
Maybe.
you're probably right. That's the closest.
Oh,
it is a literal red dragon, so maybe he's trying to be like Francis Dollarhide in Manhunter and Red Dragon
evil.
on that. So let's put this up instead for those who are watching on YouTube. We can
Switching
now
books.
See
I got it. You go ahead. You go ahead.
So this is illustrated by Jim Lee, and that does bring me into talking about the Frank Miller Joker in terms of. I was looking at the comics to see what could have possibly inspired the characterization specifically on this. And in All-Star Batman and Robin, not only do we have the tattoos, but Joker is mostly shirtless in his main scene of All-Star Batman and Robin, seems relatively melancholy, never actually smiles in the entire arc. Now, keep in mind the arc was interrupted. It's never been finished. But he's also seductive. In a way, he sleeps with an attorney named Donna Gugina and then kills her, saying that by killing her, he's loving her in, quote, his own special way. So I feel like this is totally in character with what Leto's Joker would do. In general, if you read Frank Miller's take on the Joker from either this or The Dark Knight Returns, or even his cameo in Superman Year One, which came out way after Suicide Squad, but still, I feel like Frank Miller's Joker is one of the main inspirations for this because he's a seductive Joker. He seems as likely to want to kiss you as he will to kill you.
Well, I mean, Lucifer's supposed to be a sexy angel, right? Before he's the devil.
According to the Fox show.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about in general?
Actual.
Okay.
I mean, he's supposed to be part of the devil is attractive.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of thrown in there. That's part of it.
It makes sense. So in The Dark Knight Returns, he uses lipstick and basically takes a page out of Poison Ivy's playbook and kills Dr. Ruth that way, the Dr. Ruth equivalent, and then has mind-controlling lipstick that he uses on Selena Kyle. And Leto seems similar, not just in his interactions with Harley, but if you remember the scene with the prison guard, where he like makes him kiss his ring and gets like really close to his face and everything. Yeah. So, and of course the infamous line from Zack Snyder's Justice League of who's going to give you the reach around.
Yeah, is basically sexually ambiguous, probably bisexual. It seems like in this version.
Right. I think this is the most where that element is highlighted, at least since Nicholson, I would say. But this is a little even more highlighted.
Using sex as manipulation.
Yeah.
Right.
In some ways.
I honestly can't imagine any version of the Joker actually having sex with anyone. I feel like even Leto's probably like, it's all like some sort of abuse or something. Like I don't know. I can't.
You're saying he wouldn't go down on anybody like Batman would.
Definitely not. That's how he got his teeth. No, it's just no. It's something about him. I can't imagine him being interested in pleasing anyone but himself. But I also imagine that he's kind of like asexual. Like anything that he does is just to hurt others.
He could have sex and totally just be out for himself. I think that's
Well,
Even that's like too human, though.
Yeah. I think Zach has an interesting point that to him, sex is murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where he gets his actual pleasure from. Like he kills
That's
for fun.
true. I was thinking, like, when we were talking about how when Batman's beating the shit out of him, is that orgasmic for him? Like, it depends
Probably
on the
certain
writer.
foreplay,
versions,
yeah.
Yeah.
In certain
Yeah.
versions, I would say so.
Yeah.
Another possible influence on this movie was the 2008 comic Joker by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. Similar to how Azzarello and Bermejo's Luthor was kind of an influence on the Eisenberg Lex, as we talked about in the last episode, where it also has Lex manipulating Bruce into fighting Superman in that. Another sign of this is that the main character of that comic is a henchman named Johnny Frost, and Johnny Frost is in Suicide Squad as Joker's main henchman to help him try to get Harley back, played by Jim Parrick.
No relation to Mr. Freeze.
Unfortunately, nor Joe Chill.
Okay.
Or Captain
Oh yeah,
Cold.
Chill Frost. Yes, that's right.
Or Killer Frost, yeah.
Forgot about all that.
Both the comic and the movie feature a Joker who is more of a gangster in some ways, caring about his territory and his turf and his rivalry with other Batman villains as other gangsters. He's been recently released from Arkham Asylum in both versions. Both sort of feature scenes set in meat factories with slabs of meat carcasses hanging on hooks. In the Suicide Squad movie, that's where he ends up talking to that prison guard and making him kiss the ring. Both have sequences where Harley is dancing in some kind of strip club type context, and around the same time Joker punishes someone who crossed him and into his territory. Though the comic is more violent, in the movie it's Common getting shot by Jared Leto, and in the comic it's a guy he skins alive.
Yeah, and he staggers out on stage, and he smacks him on the ass with money, and it sticks to his bloody corpse. I remember that was super sick.
Yeah, so I'm somewhat controversial opinion on my part. I'm not a huge fan of this comic. I love the Azzarello Bermejo Lex Luthor, but when it comes to this Joker, I'm like, it was everything I was afraid they would do with the Ledger Joker, where he looks like Ledger's Joker, but the characterization is completely different, where it just feels like, oh, it's a Scorsese movie with gangsters and Batman villains as gangsters. On paper, that sounds great, but then it's almost like they forgot to change the voices to suit the actual Batman villains, and so Joker sort of just feels like a regular gangster to me who's just kind of really fucked up and looks like the Joker. But like what I said about Leto's version, he lacks what feels like the sense of humor. He sort of lacks the personality to me. He seems to care more about being... I mean, he seems like he's a serial killer and a gangster type thing at the same time. Again, it's just... If you love it, then, fantastic. This is not to go against anybody who likes that characterization, but to me, I'm just like, it does not do for the Joker, in my opinion, what the Luthor comic did for Lex Luthor.
Oh, yeah, I could see that, yeah.
Let's see. According to costume designer Kate Hawley, they didn't want to put Leto too much in the purple suit because they felt like it would be too much with the tattoos and the grill, which I'm just like, well, why did you give him the tattoos and the grill in the first place? If you just
too much.
But they compromised with the snakeskin purple trench coat, which I really liked. Still, Jared Leto's Joker also takes visual inspiration from other comic book versions. We have The Dark Knight Returns with the white suit, which is what he wears when he's driving the purple Lamborghini and Affleck goes after him, which at the time was the closest we got to Affleck's Batman fighting Joker, was him on top of the car.
That was Citroen on the car.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't even Affleck. And then Alex Ross's Joker with the black tuxedo. Is also
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite look for him in the film,
and it looks great.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm the same with you on that.
Let's go into Leto's method acting. So here we go.
Yes, we made it.
So Leto spent the whole time on set in character and would insist on only being addressed as J or Mr. J, according to producer Charles Roven. Don't call him Jared because he will not respond.
Will Smith was like, I quit. I'm quitting now.
Oh, hell no. So, this is in contrast to the legends of Heath Ledger, who, contrary to popular belief, was not in character the whole time. He was pretty much Heath Ledger when the cameras were off, according to Michael J. White. It's an interesting contrast because I feel like Leto went to the places that everyone thinks or assumes Ledger went. In a real way. Because everyone's just like, Ledger got lost in the role of method acting, and that's why he died, and it turns out that's complete bullshit because he had a whole other movie afterwards before his death. Yeah. And according to everybody on the set, he was a complete, professional and was even riding skateboards on that, not just in that photoshopped image of him skateboarding over Batman's body, but in actual footage of I think Chicago or so. He's like riding around on a skateboard.
Nolan doesn't like behind the scenes footage. He doesn't like deleted scenes in his DVDs and Blu-rays.
Right.
So definitely for this one, out of respect for Ledger, from what I've heard in his interviews, he doesn't want to release any of that stuff. There's been some leaks with he is like taking a picture in Joker makeup, smiling with somebody on set.
Right, yeah.
But like that's the only one I've seen, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of overblown how much people are just like, he was so in character, that's how he got the performance. I'm like, no, it's like the whole Laurence Olivier and Dustin Hoffman anecdote, where Hoffman like didn't sleep for days, and Olivier's just like, have you tried acting, my friend?
Yeah, my boy.
My boy, yeah. So... but Leto claims that he did a ton of hands-on research meeting with doctors, psychiatrists that dealt with psychopaths, as well as people who had committed horrendous crimes. Again, this is according to him. Yeah. Who knows if this was one day or weeks or whatever. One interesting aspect is that he said that he read up on shamanism and listened to a lot of 1920s gospel music. Now, in terms of the reason why, because that seems really random.
I read that too.
Yeah. He said, quote, I always get the sense that the Joker may be much older than people think.
45.
Well, Leto's already older than people think in general, but
yeah,
I think this sort of ties into what we talked about in one of our episodes last year about whether Joker was supernatural.
Oh, yeah, that was a great episode.
Because there's the one from the Scott Snyder Endgame comic where it's just like Joker may have been there in Gotham since the beginning of time type of thing. So if that's what he's drawing off of, I think that's kind of a cool deep dive in a way. Leto said he would go around New York and Toronto working on his laugh to see what would freak people out and get under their skins, which totally sounds like him.
That's kind of awesome. And he did like freak somebody out at one of his concerts, right? He started doing a kind of a Joker voice at one of his concerts to a fan.
Mm-hmm. Leto famously had a ton of antics, so let's talk about what happened and separate some fact and fiction. So, according to Viola Davis, who played Amanda Waller, she said Leto hired someone to interrupt the cast rehearsal and drop the carcass of a dead pig on a table.
Great.
Davis immediately thought, this man is crazy, and said that she almost had pepper spray out when she ended up meeting Leto for the first time later.
Wow.
Yeah. He apparently sent boxes of bullets to other cast members, including Will Smith, who's kind of the only one who would make sense to have the box of bullets because that's his character, but apparently sent it to everybody.
It's like a death threat, though, isn't it? It's like, it's so...
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's what I was saying to you before. Like, if you were to do that in the workplace, like... You would literally, like, you'd get a call from... Well, you'd either get a call from HR or you get a call from the police. You know, either two of those. Yeah, both, exactly. Right, so... Sat to your left is HR, and sat to your right is a big group of police officers. We're trying to see what's wrong with you with sending these bullets. Oh, and please don't send a severed pig again.
Yes. So there are kind of legends that Rob alluded to about there being a dead rat. However, according to what the cast said, it was actually a living rat. Margot Robbie received a black rat in a box. She could not keep him. But she then...
I guess so, yeah.
The ultimate in randomness. So Robbie decided, I'll give it as a gift, and she gifted it to Guillermo del Toro. So Guillermo del Toro has Jared Leto's rat, and he named the rat Venustiano, and had the rat for about 1.5 years until Venustiano sadly passed away in February 2017.
Wow.
This episode is dedicated to your memory, Venustiano.
What connection does Robbie have to Guillermo del Toro?
Because I don't think they work together.
They might in the future. We'll see, I guess.
They might have met at some Oscar party or something.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, Killer Croc actor, I will do my best to pronounce this, Adewale Akinoye Agbaje, says that Leto sent him, quote, sticky Playboy magazines as a gift. As well as sent the cast, quote, anal beads and supposedly used condoms. Now, Leto himself denied the report about the condoms in 2017, saying that it was, quote, utter bullshit. However, between the two, I don't think Adewale has a reason to make shit up. No. And Leto has every reason to try to reclaim his image, so...
They might have been opened condoms and maybe not used, I would hope.
Like used, yeah.
Yeah, they would have been, unused but open. maybe for a joke effect.
Don't you just love those Joker comics where Joker just sends a bunch of used condoms to
Look,
people?
it's dumb, but I'm just saying, hopefully for everybody's health's sake and all that. I don't know.
Wouldn't it have made more sense for him to give him like a pair of alligator skin shoes, or like, something like that?
Yeah. Or just a Joker card or something.
Yeah.
This makes so much sense.
Something in character, perhaps,
Can I just say, this is probably the best way you can spend a Sunday night, is literally talking about whether or not you give condoms or alligator skin products to somebody. I never thought that would come into question, but here we are.
I mean, the talk of the internet has been, does Batman perform cunnilingus all week?
Yep.
Yeah.
What a world we live in.
I mean, there's a fine line between the two somewhere of what is the truth there, isn't there? Clearly there was condoms sent. Clearly there was Playboy magazines sent, but whether or not they were, God, were they used or not? Oh, I can't believe that's a sentence I'm saying. But yeah, is now. I don't know if that we'll ever find out if that's true or not. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah,
yeah. So, kind of creates a legend around. More of a legend surrounding Jared Leto than the Joker, his version of the Joker, honestly.
Yeah.
On this. So after all these antics, it was almost, in 2016, seemed like it was all for nothing, since he was in it for like 5 minutes in the final cut of the film.
Yeah.
Leto, of course, was famously not happy with how much was cut, saying, quote, "Were there any that didn't get cut?" In reaction
a lot
to
was
scene.
cut, yeah.
Director David Ayer admitted that he wished that he had made Joker the main villain of the movie instead. Why didn't he? I have a feeling that was probably the studio or something.
That Wall Street guy again.
Wall Street guy that talked to Chris Terrio. Yeah,
I keep thinking about that guy.
We're referring to a Vanity Fair interview where Chris Terrio said that Wall Street investors and Warner Brothers were telling him how to write Batman for BVS. So it kind of shows how the behind the scenes shit was going on. Warner
To me, it's just one of the most real world things. Like it's a Wall Street influencing the producers that are above Chris Terrio and maybe even Walter Hamada, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just fascinating because it's so likely. Of course, it's some Wall Street douchebag.
I think on this podcast, the most unlikely but fascinating behind the scenes stories have been this weird Hollywood shit that we've talked about, whether it was Superman 78 with trying to convince Marlon Brando not to be a bagel,
the fucking bagel thing,
what the all fuck? That type of stuff, to this stuff where it's just like Margot Robbie gives the Jared Leto rat to Guillermo del Toro. You can't make that shit up.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Let's talk a little bit into what we know was cut, though. So let's go first off with the concept art. There's some concept art of Jared Leto's Joker sitting in the Batmobile, of all places. Not sure where that comes in. In some cases of concept art, they're just messing around, and that's not necessarily in the script. There was also famously a statue of Leto's Joker in his own bat suit, a Jokerized bat suit at one
That's
point.
cool.
Don't know if that was part of the movie. I did see that as a reference to the episode The Laughing Bat in the show The Batman, the cartoon from 2004. So that was cool. The scene that we've referenced where Common's character, Monster T, who has a beef with that's his name. I'm not fucking around.
Is that made up for this?
Yeah, I don't think that's an actual character.
Okay, yeah.
It sounds like he's a sponsor for
They didn't have enough characters.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough to pull from the comics, you know? I don't know.
70 years worth of comics versus your own shit. All right, let's just do your own shit.
I guess.
So, Common, originally cast as the Jon Stewart Green Lantern for George Miller's Justice League Mortal, takes a step down and plays Monster T for this one scene where Joker offers Harley to him, and he's the handsome hunka that Zach was referencing earlier. And
at least that's somewhat funny. That's going towards being funny.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it looks like Joker shoots him, even though the editing is just really awful in that one scene where it's just like you don't actually see him shoot him. It's just literally Common falling over and Leto holding a gun. I think the reason why is that according to David Ayer, that's not how the movie was supposed to go. In the movie, Jared Leto's Joker would manipulate Monster T into committing suicide in that scene.
Oh.
Which would have been really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Another deleted scene, which is on the Blu-ray, so we know for a fact it's real, is that Harleen is on a motorcycle chasing after Joker's purple Lamborghini and ends up chasing him down and puts a gun to his head And Joker says that he is not someone to be loved. He's more of an idea, that type of thing.
That dialogue. There was a good reason that was cut.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to be Ledger there and failing.
And then, of course, there's also that famous line from Harley in that scene where she's just like, "A gun doesn't scare you, but my heart does."
That can go back around to being good because it's so bad. I think that
Robbie does her best
Yeah.
with the material. But anyway, a cut scene towards the finale is after Joker's helicopter goes down. And we've seen this a lot in the different trailers where you see Joker in the tuxedo, but he's got like burns on him because he just came out of the helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
Joker would show up and you would get access to the detonators of the explosives in everyone's head. And threatened to detonate them. This was also confirmed by Ayer himself, who I believe posted the script page for it. And Deadshot says he does not have any beef with Joker. So that's the carryover for you, Zach, in terms of the beef line.
Are you serious? That was really in the script?
Yes. I got no beef with you, Joker.
Can you imagine Will Smith saying that?
He probably did in the Ayer cut, but...
my
Anyway, Joker holds everyone hostage because he wants Harley to come back and apparently makes a deal with the Enchantress that he will help her in order for him to get Harley back and they can go back home and be the king and queen of Gotham. However, Harley stands up to him and refuses to betray her new friends, and he ends up escaping. So this was kind of what the original arc for Harley was in the Ayer cut. In the movie, it just seems like, oh, she's always going to be with him. As opposed to, in the Ayer cut, it was supposed to be, quote, about growth and empowerment for Harley, which I don't think we really got at all in that version.
No.
Until we got Birds of Prey.
Yes.
And the Harley Quinn animated show, which is the best version of the story, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, actually. And the best Clayface.
Oh, yes.
I am an actor.
As noted, Leto also played Joker in the music video Purple Lamborghini by Skrillex and Rick Ross.
My favorite.
He's in more of that in terms of ratio than he was in any of the movies.
That's true. It's doing nothing in it.
Though, as Zach has brought up to us, I kind of feel like he looks the best there in terms of how the white skin looks.
Yeah.
It's even whiter than in the film. This is something I was going to mention earlier. I do think it's kind of strange. As an artist, I kind of like illustrating him because he has some skin tone to him still. He almost looks not quite albino, but there's like some pinkness to his undertones, like around his eyes and ears and stuff. I always think he looks like a lab rat, like with the white but like pink kind of undertones, and it's like he's not quite chalk white like he is in the Snyder cut. So it's like I almost wonder in the Snyder cut, is he supposed to still be like bleached skin? But I don't know where he's getting that grease paint in the Apocalypse to do that.
Yeah. I noticed the damage tattoo is gone.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah, Snyder didn't like that.
There were plans, of course, to continue the Jared Leto Joker in a movie with him and Harley. Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, I think is the name. They're executive producers on This Is Us. They wrote Bad Santa. They were attached to a project in 2017 about Joker and Harley. I don't think it's happening anymore. But in an interview, one of the writers revealed that part of the plot was Harley kidnapping Dr. Phil to help solve their problems because they had some issues as a couple. So
that's hilarious.
It is funny. This is one of those things where I'm just like, it depends on execution.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, it had to be definitely more comedic than dramatic, probably. But that's great. I think
if this has the same type of tone as the Harley Quinn animated show.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Kidnapping Dr. Phil is fucking hilarious.
I mean, the animated show has him kill Howie Mandel and stuff, so you never know. I think I'd love to hear or at least read this version of the script just to see what it was.
A comedy with a lot of violence. I mean, I don't know.
Pretty much.
A dark comedy. Yeah, it would be great, I think.
On it, yeah. Obviously, this never got off the ground. I don't think it's ever going to be made. Instead, we got 2020's Birds of Prey, which Jared Leto was not a part of, but his version of the Joker kind of was.
His presence is known.
Well, there is a little bit of his version, just not played by Jared Leto.
Mm-hmm.
So a musician in California named Johnny Goth ended up taking on the role for some of the inserts where you see Leto's Joker, but you never see the face.
Yeah.
And Goth said that they needed someone with, quote, similar hands to Leto's Joker and similar build. And they wanted somebody who could just basically wear Leto's clothes. without them having to alter it that much, because you're only in it for like 2 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
And he was a perfect fit, so I guess he's the same size. But you end up seeing Goth's version of the Joker without his face when they do. There's a flashback of them putting a smile tattoo on a guy named Happy during the movie, so that's where it came from. But he was supposed to have a bigger role. There are leaked pics from the set of a longer version of the Harley Joker breakup in Birds of Prey, where he's throwing her stuff out of the window to her, which I've brought this up in our Birds of Prey deep dive, but I always felt it would have been more empowering if Harley is the one who leaves Joker, not Joker breaking up with Harley. But
yeah.
Again, maybe they thought it was too similar to the
But if
animated
it's
show.
before her character arc, you know what I mean? She could go from a weak state to a stronger state, right?
This is why I said Joker should have been the one in that movie.
Yeah.
As much fun as Ewan McGregor has in that movie as Black Mask, Joker should have been the villain.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yes.
But they wouldn't have killed him at the end, though. I don't think
Probably
so.
not. Yeah.
No.
But do you have to? You can still, it didn't necessarily have to end that specific way.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Leto is also the first actor to reprise the role of Joker in another live-action film. If you think about it, Nicholson never came back.
Right.
Ledger, unfortunately, never came back, though he probably would have if he was still alive.
Yes.
Because there's no way that they would have just been like, oh, no, there's a one and done for you.
Yeah.
Snyder brings him back in the epilogue set in the nightmare sequence. And as brought up before, unfortunately, Leto and Affleck were not on set on the same day. So it's kind of a miracle that it works as well as it does in terms of them playing off of each other. The scene was written by Zack Snyder himself, not by Chris Terrio. And it confirms that Leto's Joker knows or has known that Batman is really Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Because he calls him Bruce. In an alternate scene that Snyder released later online, Leto did the ad-lib that took the internet by storm. We live in a society. Line referencing the Joker meme that people do with Heath Ledger's Joker. And this was in the trailer, but Snyder released the scene later on where Leto says it in reference to Batman says he will honor the promise he made to Harley Quinn that he will kill the Joker.
Right.
It's actually, in my opinion, a better version of what's in the movie, because in the movie, when Batman threatens him, you see Joker's hand shaking and he's scared.
Right.
But in the alternate version with the "We live in a society" line, Joker doesn't seem to have that reaction at all, and instead makes a joke about who does Batman think screamed louder when they died, Robin or Harley Quinn, and then he laughs.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, that's probably a better version, in my opinion, than because it's kind of weird to me to see Joker after all this time is now scared of Batman.
I thought he was mocking him, though. I didn't think
that could be another. That's another possibility.
I think he's kind of like pantomiming that he's afraid, because then he's like, "Oh, you almost got me."
Yeah, it could be that too, as well. He also ad-libbed the "Who's going to give you the reach around" line.
The best line of the movie.
Snyder said that Jared threw it out and assumed that's never going to be in the movie, and Snyder was like, "Oh, really?" And now it's in the Snyder cut.
It does sort of work. I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah, no, it's such a Joker line.
Yeah.
As discussed in our episode on the plans for Justice League 2 and 3, Snyder originally wanted to have more of the Nightmare sequence where Joker joins the Justice League in the Nightmare universe to go up against Superman, and they would have the quote-unquote Last Supper of the Justice League, where in a Rashomon-style flashback, they would have their Batman's perspective and Joker's perspective of the death of Robin, and we would finally see it.
Right.
So that would be cool. Who knows if that's ever going to happen?
Yeah.
It doesn't look likely, but we can always think, what if?
Yeah.
Anyway, that is pretty much the deep dive into Leto's Joker. I guess the question is, does any of the new information make you think differently about the Leto Joker after this discussion? Let's start with Rob.
It just makes me feel even more sorry for Leto in a way, to be honest with you, hearing about all the stuff, because it just almost, as you said before, it feels like just a massive what if, really, and just the possibilities, because I remember when I heard the casting for Jared Leto as the Joker, and I did generally think, smart.
Yeah.
Smart casting. Like, that's a smart piece of casting, because, I mean, here's an actor who's literally on a high right now. He's just won the Academy Award for arguably one of the best performances he's done. And, it was a huge undertaking. And, look, the fact of the matter is, we were always going to compare him to the last person who played the role last. And there was very high expectations for him. and high expectations on the studio, and I think it doesn't help that you had films like Assault on Arkham as well, which is why you can't tell the story of the Joker being a villain in, the Suicide Squad's movie, and that's why they did Enchantress, which for me was just the worst. For me, that's the worst thing about Suicide Squad. I'm sorry, it is. That is the worst thing about Suicide Squad.
There's a reason why we don't have an Enchantress episode.
Well, there you go. And all I can say, apologise for Cara Delevingne. I mean, she's British, so I do feel like I have to apologise on her behalf. But in regards to Leto, I do think he was hard done by, and we've discussed all the stuff that was left on the cutting room floor, and it's clearly in an archive somewhere, which hopefully we will potentially see someday, because along with Joel Schumacher's 45-minute extended Batman Forever, which I would love to see. I would love to see the falling down version of Batman, personally, and I would love to see that. And I think we should see the true original intention of David Ayer's vision, because as we mentioned earlier, he can direct, he can write. Fury is a great film. End of Watch is a fantastic film. And this is what happens when you only have 6 weeks to write a film. And given the time, and I think even just to say to Leto, let's reel it in. I get that you're excited. I get you want to make this the best thing possible, but just reel it in. And I think that's where Zack Snyder comes in as well, and is able to kind of just communicate to him and just say, this is the intention of this moment here. Because I think if there's one thing I will say, which is probably a little bit harsh, but it's important to have a vision as a director. And I think maybe Ayer kind of let that slip a little bit in terms of bringing in the Joker, because the problem I have with Jared Leto's Joker fundamentally is, while I do think he could be the romantic Joker for this Harley Quinn that we do have, and don't get me wrong, I think Margot Robbie is fantastic as Harley Quinn, but I don't buy their relationship 1 second in that movie. I don't believe that they are in a relationship. I don't believe that they have a sexual relationship. I don't believe that there is love between them. I feel like it's very contrived, and I feel like it's incredibly forced, and I question more things the most. And if I'm questioning why they've taken a dive into a vat of chemicals and why there's blue and pink coming off of their clothing in the vat of chemicals, that's when you've lost me as an audience member. What I should be engaged with is the fact that she's taken this dive. She's taken this leap of faith, coming back to what we were saying earlier, to be with this person. But you're looking at this person and going, why? Why are you doing this? It's... we say this all the time. It's not rocket science, but it's really not rocket science to adapt Mad Love. It's really not rocket science to do that.
All there in the comic. Yeah.
No, it's really not that difficult. You just do that, and you could have nailed it for like a 5-minute scene of Joker being in a doing the whole scene of, my father beat me up pretty badly as a kid. Mm-hmm. Harley Quinn could just be like, shit, he's a human being. Yep. He is a tortured young man or older man, whatever. And maybe there's a scene there, but we don't know. Apparently there might be. Again, it's all up in the air really, but I do fundamentally stick with my original opinion about Jared Leto's Joker, which is I do think fundamentally it is flawed. And I do feel sorry for the guy, because I think he is talented, and I think we could have got something really special, but all we got was a... I was going to say reach around, but that sounds weird. So what did we get? We got something fundamentally flawed. And we don't want that for Joker. We want to be entertained, and we want to be on a joyride with him, and fundamentally we felt very underwhelmed. Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah, I think what you were thinking of is we got an extended cameo instead of like an actual performance for the Joker.
True. Yeah.
I will say if this didn't happen, then maybe we wouldn't have gotten Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. So it's I guess you could look at it as a stepping stone, kind of like, I love Batman and Robin, But a lot of people thought, like, well, because of Batman and Robin's poor performance, it eventually led to the creation of Batman Begins and this whole reboot. So
True.
there is some merit to it. And like I said, there are certain things I like about him, and most of it I can appreciate some visuals of the Joker and some of the comic book, I guess, inferences that they make. It is cool to see a Joker with Harley Quinn for once. It's just it's an odd misstep, like I said before, and it's I think it all comes down to the audience reception of Batman versus Superman, and it's like this kind of weird like stumble in that cinematic history of, you know, perhaps if things were more successful, then the studio wouldn't be as nitpicky and controlling as they were, and maybe we would have gotten a completely different film, or things would have just gone differently. So he still is probably my least favorite. He's definitely, like I said, my opinion of him has gone up since the Snyder Cut. I like that version of the Joker. I think that that was really cool. He may be just a hint above the Gotham Jokers for me, maybe because they don't even call them Joker. But yeah, it's tough. I did like having our conversation about him though, because there was still a lot of stuff I didn't know as far as where the comic book inspirations came from for this particular Joker, and maybe what might have been. So yeah, in the end, I guess it leaves you kind of wanting, like you wish it could have been better, but it is what it is at this point.
This conversation didn't change how I think about him too much, because I never hated him.
Right.
I hated what happened to him in the edit room, because I think everybody agrees we'd like to have seen more. I mean, except for maybe some of those scenes that you talked about that sucked, but it's just because the scenes that we do get, he again is just really magnetic on screen, and I mean, it was misguided him doing all this animal shit, sending animals to people, but if there is a good side of that, it's that he was very excited about this role. And we all love it whenever an actor is passionate about their role. Like, it's like the worst, like with Tom Welling never wearing the fucking suit. You know, like, or it's stuff like that. Like, as comic book fans, we really want those people to at least fake it. You know, at least make it seem like you're super into this role. And I think that he was. So it's kind of, in many ways on his part, other than the boxes sent to people, it's more or less mission accomplished from Leto's side as an actor. It's just a matter of the script and everything else surrounding him. Again, he was a victim. So, I would definitely love to see him again in something kind of redone, reworked, like Snyder. We saw a little bit of what could, you know, retweak him, take off the damage thing, and kind of do the same, a similar thing, but with a different director maybe, or Ayer just getting his actual say, or something like that. Take out the Wall Street guy. It'd be interesting to see what they could do with that.
I think the tragedy of the Leto Joker is similar to the one with Ben Affleck's Batman, is the fact that some of the most interesting aspects of these versions are not on screen.
Right.
Like, we had a whole deep dive on the Ben Affleck Batman on stuff that is implied but never actually shown.
Talking about Snyder's world he has.
In Snyder's world, and it's such a shame because of the fact that this is the first time since Adam West versus Cesar Romero where you have a Batman-Joker relationship over years and a huge history, as opposed to I'm meeting Batman for the Joker and Batman are meeting for the first time in '89 or in The Dark Knight. Or even in the show Gotham, and then Phoenix isn't even close to meeting Batman yet in Joker. He only meets Bruce Wayne. So to have that history is amazing, but the problem is we never get any of it. Like, I think, as Rob was saying, the fact that Ledger was the last one on film to play Joker was kind of already counting against Leto in a way, similar to Bale and Affleck, where it's just like inevitably you're going to get hate for just not being the previous guy.
Yeah,
just
what shoes to fill, man.
I know. And they at least did their own takes on it. The problem is, I think the best stuff is just not around. If Leto's Joker had done the Death in the Family, if you saw him as regular Joker and then he does the Death in the Family and then Batman knocks his teeth out and then you get, the take with the metal, maybe obviously less tattoos, no damage tattoo, but the metal teeth and the tattoo on the hand, that type of stuff. like you would get it at that point. I'm like, okay, now that's why he looks like that. And then making him a little bit more of a centerpiece for Suicide Squad would have also helped elevate that as well. And then just continuing this franchise of Affleck's Batman versus Leto's Joker and seeing the history between them, getting to see the history between them or all the implications in there would have definitely created a more enriching, I think, cinematic experience than what we've gotten where it's all implied. But I think I've always wanted to see a little more to the Batman-Joker relationship than just like, who is this clown type of thing. Like, they get to actually have a history. I don't need to see them meet again for the first time. I want to see what happens afterwards and playing around with that dynamic and what it says about those two characters in that relationship. So it's a shame. But I agree that this pretty much makes me feel sorry more for Leto than anything else. But it doesn't necessarily change my opinion on it. And with that is supervillain stuff you should know. We have a few fan comments to go over before we wrap and plug some stuff. So this comes from a fan named Paul who sent us a long email about the Secret Origins of Ben Affleck's Batman episode. He said, quote, "In a recent podcast, you discussed the Mercedes which Ben Affleck / Bruce Wayne drove in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and you mentioned that it was the Mercedes-Benz AMG Vision Gran Turismo. I just wanted to add some more detail and a bit more of a deep dive about that car because I recognized it as soon as it was on screen. The car's origin was a result of the Vision Gran Turismo program, which invited a number of car developers to create a concept car for the 2013 Sony PlayStation game Gran Turismo 6. These cars also carried over into the successor Gran Turismo Sport." So I did not know any of this until Paul emailed this. The first Vision Gran Turismo car was released on November 20th, 2013 by Mercedes-Benz, known as the Mercedes-Benz AMG Vision Gran Turismo. It took the form of a long hooded coupe with no rear window and an active rear spoiler. 8 rectangular exhaust tips are located above and below the single long tail light. This is way more deep diving than I would ever go.
This is a hell of an email, everybody. Just let you know.
The car.
Was this Jeremy Clarkson's email or something? Was he on Top Gear or something?
I was really surprised by this.
You really wanted us to make sure we knew every detail of this.
This is another deep dive.
The car is characterized as having an aluminum space frame and a twin turbocharged 5.5 liter M157 AMG V8 engine with an output of 430 kW.
Keep going.
At 580 HP. The ultra-futuristic design of the model was inspired by cars such as the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Formula One cars, the Batmobile, I imagine the Batmobile, Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, the 1930s racing models, and various car versions from Mercedes AMG. I did not know 50% of the words I just said there. Although it was developed as a concept car in a video game, it was later built as a real-life model. Officially, Daimler AG did not announce the launch of the concept car in a series, but later the American company J&S Worldwide Holdings announced the production of 5 such cars. The world premiere of the concept model took place at the 2013 LA Auto Show in Los Angeles. I thought it was pretty cool that a car designed with a Batmobile influence was used in the 2017/2021 movie as Bruce Wayne's car. Yeah, definitely. There was a deal with the car company to include 2 of their vehicles in the film, one being the E-Class convertible driven by Diana Prince Gal Gadot. That's when she comes to meet Victor.
Right.
I don't know if that's supposed to be Diana's car or she's just borrowing Bruce's car.
Yeah, I thought she was just borrowing it.
I think she's just borrowing the car. I think Diana just jumps around different places to travel. I don't think she needs a car.
I mean, let's be honest. If she asked Bruce, "Can I borrow your car?" he's not going to say no, is he? I mean, he's not going to be like, "No, you can't." No, that's Alfred's
You're
car.
The keys,
no.
Yeah. Alfred has his own cars. Yeah. It says the other one was the one-of-a-kind Mercedes-Benz Vision Gran Turismo created specifically for the film by the car company. Lastly, the model that was in the movie, which had been created specifically for Justice League, and it had to be made larger than the original design to accommodate Ben Affleck, who is 6 feet 3.5 inches tall. That's all. Still loving your podcast each week, but to be honest, I do skip the sketches.
Honesty.
At least you're honest.
So thank you very much for that, Paul. That is information I definitely would not have covered, and that is awesome. If we ever do a deep dive into Batmobile stuff for all the car shit, I think you would be the man to bring on.
Do you know anything about cars like that much at
There's
all?
a Batmobile.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's a Batmobile.
I don't know much about cars either, to be honest.
Me neither.
There you go.
We do have a couple people who actually do listen to the sketches, though, and that is Devin Beaumont, who commented on our Death of the Superman deep dive, quote, "Yes, we listen to the sketches."
Thank you.
I don't know who
Yes.
we refers to, but it could be both Devin and Devin's friends. Who knows?
I hope it's a
The
whole
symbiote.
crowd that he has assembled to listen to our podcast.
And then CP101 says, quote, I always listen to the sketches. Woo! So thank you. That's 2 people who listen to the sketches.
Woo!
Thank you very much.
And I know
the 2
Dan
people we're
D.
doing.
Dan D loves the
3.
sketches. So
Yeah.
we have 3 people out there. Thank you guys. You are
Look at that.
the best.
All right, and that is it for the fan comments. The long email from Paul, as well as the 2
Oh,
who said
man.
that they listened to the sketches. Over to you, Andrew, with the shout-outs.
Okay, so thank you everybody for those comments, and also thank you to our Patreon supporters who include Shasta, Leom O, Jose Arrocha, Super Inframan, Douglas P, Dan D, Aaron Willett, Nick Noir, Jesse E, Jeffrey R, Sketchcraft, Scott V, and Yuli. And also Spark Again, STCT Productions, Robert Schumann, Kukia Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B, Shamrock Balls, Ian H, Walter the Wobot, John Wells, and Rye Guy.
Also, shout out to Comic Capital on Instagram, as well as the Everything Entertainment Club on Clubhouse, which is how I met Rob.
Indeed. And also check out patreon.com/superherostuffpod. The $1 tier gets you a shout out, and the $5 tier gets you a whole other show every Friday. Deeper dives and even this shit, although that car one was pretty deep.
I don't know if I'm going to get that level of this.
That was a good one. We get near that level on the Patreon. So, yeah.
I'm like that with characters and story, maybe not so much with cars.
Yeah. Exhaust pipes and shit. All right. Anyway, so please check out our merch. That's superhousepod.redbubble.com, tpublic.com/user/superhousepodcast5000. Threadless is superherostuffpod.threadless.com. Get your Ben Man and Indeed Wizard mugs, shirts, shower curtains, or whatever you want. Artwork by Wolfie Cruz. They have all kinds of shit on there we can make. So please leave us a review on iTunes. Please record us some sort of audio clip if you want. Can be anything. Send that to superhousepodcast@gmail.com, and you too can be on the show. Please review us on iTunes. Please animate our sketches if you so desire, if you got the gusto, if you got the gumption. Please just hashtag it in the corner, Superhero Stuff Pod, through the duration of the video. If you do animate it, that would be great. And let us know if you do that. I am Thunderwolf Drew on Instagram and Twitter. Also, ThunderwolfLives.com. Thunderwolf Lives on YouTube, where I do my Japanese culture-related stuff, language, Japanese gaming, stuff like that. All my other shit is on there. And also, I had this planned already, but we have another filmmaker here as well. It's interesting synchronicity there, but I'm also making a film. It's called, I'm in pre-production now. It's called Amano Recon. That's AMANORECON.com. It is an R-rated tokusatsu, that means special effects in Japanese, original sci-fi show. And basically think R-rated Power Rangers meets X-Files. It's a horror comedy, okay? It is not a fan film. And AmanoRecon.com. There will be an Indiegogo for this at some point, but we are still deep in pre-production. But just letting that out there. Ben.
You can also follow us on Twitter at SuperhousePod, as well as Instagram at SuperheroStuffPod. We could not change our name on Twitter, so that's why that's the only one that's still SuperhousePod.
Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram is SuperheroStuffPod. TikTok is
We're on TikTok.
SuperheroStuffPod.
Yes.
We're also on Vero now. We have 3 followers as of now, so we're gradually growing.
See Ben desperately try to get Snyder's attention.
Tell me, how was Joker created? Was it Ace Chemicals? Find us at Superhero Stuff Pod at Vero. My website is benwanwriter.com. My YouTube channel is in the description below, where there will be videos about several different pitches that I've done on this podcast, including the Batman Joker team-up movie that I pitched way back in like 2017, 2018 at one point.
Yes.
So we'll be putting that online. Also, if you want to check out my kids comic, that is available at earlebird.com. That's earl-e-bird.com. My personal Instagram is benwanwriter. My son's Instagram, my furry cat, Alfie Pennyworth, is at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. And that leads me to talk about, if you have a feline friend, you can check us out at Whiskerbox. We are affiliates with Whiskerbox. You can get your little cat friend a nice box, though he'll probably ignore, or he or she will ignore every toy and then just jump into the box if they're like any other cat.
It's just send you a box.
We should just send cardboard boxes each month.
Wait. No, you can use all the toys on Whiskerbox. What are we talking about?
Yes, you can use all the toys.
Yes,
they're listening. And then Barkbox, for those who have doggos, those who are dog owners and dog parents, you can get using our promo code or our link, right?
Yeah, we have a special link for that one, actually. Barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can get 1 free month that is valued at about $35.
$35, and I realized that our promo for that in the middle of the episode, the whole basis is, do you like dogs? Which is fucking everybody, almost.
But, join Barkbox. Even if you don't have a dog, join Barkbox. Yeah. At some point you'll have one, and you'll have boxes of shit from the past 3 years.
We might need to rework our concept on that ad campaign, but it'll stick for the moment.
It's pretty clear that we are not dog owners.
Do you like dogs? Try Barkbox.
We're also affiliates with Amazon, eBay. There will be more merchandise and shit that you can use the link where you can enhance your collection as well as help us out a little bit.
That's superhousepod.com/shop.
Yep. Over to our new co-host, Zachary Jackson Brown.
Woo!
If you want to see more of my art, you can go to ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com, and you can follow me, Zachary Jackson Brown Art, on TikTok, on YouTube, and of course on Instagram, if you are so inclined.
Awesome. And finally, our guest, Rob, where can people find you either on social media or on YouTube? Any stuff that you would like to plug?
So first of all, thank you very much for having me on. This has been an absolute blast. It's been bloody brilliant to be on, and a great way to spend a Sunday. You can follow me on Twitter at Rob Ayling Film, and you can follow me on Instagram at Rob Ayling. And please check out my Batman fan film, Living in Crime Alley. It's on YouTube. There's an Instagram page for that as well as a Twitter page for that as well. And if you want to see any more of my work that I've done as well, and any more projects I'm in line for in the future, trust me, I'm always working. It's actually a bit of annoyance for a lot of people that I'm always working, but I'm a workaholic. That's the field. Yep. So and that is robailing.com. That's where you can find all my future work.
Awesome.
Nice.
Amazing. All right, so for those who are part of our $5 Patreon tier, we're going to do a bit of a deeper dive because of the fact that at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's clear that Batman is deciding to team up with the Joker. Now, this might seem like an innovative idea, but there's actually a whole history of Batman teaming up with the Joker in comics and other media, and we will be diving into that in the Patreon show. But in the meantime, for the main show, we said we are supervillain stuff you should know to end the supervillain stuff you should know trilogy, as well as kind of our final stamp on the Snyderverse. We're going to dive into Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, and talking about the unmade Ben Affleck Batman vs. Deathstroke movie and tying that into the whole history of Batman vs. Deathstroke.
And we'll talk about how much he loves being a dark elf in Dungeons & Dragons.
That's it. I think that's guaranteed. So, and that is about it. We will see you then. But until then...
Tell all your... What is the fucking line again? Tell all your friends about it.
I want you to do me a favor.
I want you to do me a favor.
I'm setting you up for the favor line.
Tell all your friends about me. I have the
Keaton shirt. Then I say, I want you to tell all your friends about me.
We will get this someday, man.
See you later.